What is up, good people? Welcome to the big Patreon show. It appears YouTube is back up and running, so we're going to find out in a second or two here. I just checked a video, a live show, and it was coming in. So we've been discussing here for the past 20, 30 minutes here behind the scene with some of the patrons here. Oh, there we are. And yeah, we're coming on. Awesome. YouTube is yay! It's back up and running.
Woohoo!
So I just explained it to the audience that are listening here. This is the Patreon show, and if you're here in the room or you're waiting to come in and chat, just see if you can get your microphone, or see if you can put on a set of headphones if you've got them, because we get echo if you don't put on the headphones, sort of thing. So just asking folks to quickly make that adjustment if you can. And then you're going to come in clearer, and we're not going to have any sort of interference sort of thing. But yeah, what we're going to do now, last time I did the Patreon show, it went 5 hours plus. This one won't be nearly as long, but I'm going to do a bunch of people at the same time. So as many people as I can fit in the room, which is right now 6, including myself. Oh, they love that number though, but we've got 6 in the room. We've got a bunch more trying to get in. And if you're somebody and you're trying to get into the show, hang in there, because I'm going to ask good folks here to step out for a period, and then they can come back in later, sort of thing, once they've had a chance to, express their comments and views and whatever they want to discuss. So we'll rotate the room in about 20 minutes or so and try to get some of the folks that are waiting to get in here. So right at the moment, we have Tay John 514. I know what the 514 means. And Lee and Donna and Chris, Devo, and Suzanne. Suzanne, you're in.
You can do
where
it,
where
Jeff.
are you located again?
You can do it, Jeff. in Missouri.
Missouri, that's it.
Yes,
Okay, I wanted to
St.
make
Louis.
sure I got it right. So,
Yep, you're fine.
yeah. Oh, so what's up, guys? Go ahead, take the ball and run with it.
I'm looking at some headline that popped up on CTV.
Yeah.
Apparently, the Pfizer CEO sells company stock on day of vaccine news.
Wow.
Buy at the bottom, sell at the top type of thing.
That is not surprising.
I've been following a lot of these medical stocks, like the Moderna.
Yep.
Yeah, did you hear about Pfizer saying that they have a vaccine that's 90% effective, which is BS?
Yeah, no, I wanted them to say 99.9, just like they do on all their products,
Right. Well,
But yeah.
66.7.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't said that, but I guess no one would take it.
Well, that is, yeah, the 99.9 is the 666.
Oh, it's upside down. That's right.
Well, yeah. Actually,
It's upside down.
the real number is 999. By the way, it's not even 666. It's
Jeff, you had said the other night, I heard you say that possibly given placebo.
Yeah.
My jaw hit the floor, because I think that is quite possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've been
yeah,
saying that for a while, actually. I've been thinking if this whole charade of trying to make everyone think it doesn't exist or any of that, imagine if it's just all placebo. Like, who knows?
It makes sense because if the objective, maybe the objective at the moment is not to put the poison in our bodies, if you know what I mean. Maybe the objective is just to get everything
ready.
everything in order for the future. So like getting the whole surveillance grid laid out along with the 5G,
Yes,
everything.
all the
5G.
contact tracing.
I mean,
Yeah, and then possibly getting people to dispel and not take conspiracy seriously, because they'll be like, oh no, the COVID virus or the vaccine was good, I had no side effects or anything like that.
Yeah.
Then people's belief in vaccines will soar, and confidence in these corporations and Bill Gates and co. It's possible. That's a possibility. So
Just the impact that's going to come from the outlook of the virus and the consequences of it. and just getting people psychologically like destroyed because of everything that's happened.
Yeah.
No one's gonna want to go to a club or a bar anymore. Like I see in the States, they go to football games, but in Canada, everyone's scared to cross the street without their mask on. I was going for a walk with my dog before, and I see a family with the father, the mother, and the child, all walking together with their masks on together outdoors.
Yeah, I see it every day.
At least it's cold there. I'm in Florida. It's like 90 degrees with 100% humidity, and people are in masks everywhere. It's in masks in their cars. It's ridiculous.
I one up you guys. I saw a couple walking their dog, and it had a mask on.
The dog
Does
had
the
a mask
dog
on?
have a mask?
The dog had a mask on.
Wow.
Get the
Shut up.
This is for real.
That's one of those.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not surprised. Well, I mean, people already muzzle their dogs, so
Oh, you know it. You know it. It was like, what? Are you serious?
Closer. My dog that's in the picture there, she freaks out when she sees people with masks on, and she's a biter, so I mean, she goes insane. She wants to rip their face.
Wow. Well, that says
That's
something
good.
though, because
Yeah,
the
that's good.
dogs have a natural sort of, apprehension towards people that they can't read.
Right.
Right.
Like
My
wearing a
dogs are the
mask
same.
takes away, like it makes you unreadable kind of thing, right? You just see the eyes then, and then of course with a dog, it's eye contact that challenges a dog,
That
right? That's
challenges
like
them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah, if
Her
you got an
hackles
aggressive.
go up. It's insane, and so I don't bring her out in the car with me now because I'm afraid she'll get out and bite somebody. And people look at me like, oh, you have a mean dog. No, you have a mask on your face, stupid.
Right.
The
Right.
dog-
Exactly.
And
Can I borrow her?
she feels like she's being challenged because all she sees is eyes. So, and she's a guard dog, so it's just not good.
Well, can I borrow her when they come knocking on my door? So I can say, sick 'em.
Yeah,
Come.
that'd be
They
a
bring
nice
the facts.
deterrent for those people that want to come and stick the needles in your arms.
Yeah,
That's
she's
right.
quiet too. She'll because she's trained that way. So she waits and she goes for the
Is
throat.
it
So,
German Shepherd? It looks like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
German Shepherd.
Oh,
yeah, I've got two
great.
wiener dogs, so they're not going to be very effective. So well, I do have a border collie, but he's not big. He's dumb.
I did get the real McCoy in here, so I don't know if you're hooked up there, real McCoy.
Okay.
Hey, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Cool,
Welcome.
very good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate being
Hey,
here.
real McCoy.
Ah,
Hi,
you're welcome.
hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good. So this is my very first Patreon show, talking to someone famous like Jeff C.
Ah!
Oh, she's a virgin. She's a virgin.
So that, it truly is an honor. I've been following you, Jeff, for a couple of years at least. I follow other channels like KJ Osborne,
Mhm.
Casey,
Yep.
Enter the
Tick
Stars.
boxes. Yep.
And I got to tell you guys, my entire family and friends, everybody thinks I'm crazy because I try to wake them up and they don't want to hear it. So
I got a feeling
I'm like,
everybody here's family thinks they're crazy.
Yep. You're in the right club.
Yep.
You're in the right club.
Same.
This is the crazy.
Yeah.
You don't believe in the television?
I know, right? And I have 4 teenagers. One is a freshman in college. The youngest is a freshman in high school. And I know like everything they're watching and listening to is bad for them. And I tell them, hey guys, this is not good messaging. And I feel like my parents, what they would say to me back in the 80s. And I thought they were crazy.
Real McCoy,
So-
you know what you got to do? You
What?
have to show them the stuff that we ourselves watch and wake them up because they are old enough to be awoken themselves. I have a 10-year-old and she can tell she prays the different people every night. So let them have eyes that can see and ears that can hear.
Yeah, amen to that. Amen.
Right. We are the people our parents warned us about, right?
Well,
Yeah.
you have to understand that all the regular people are being programmed into having that knee-jerk reaction. So, like, it's not just that we're saying something that's radically different than what their television is saying. It's that they have actually been mind controlled into having that adverse reaction.
Exactly.
Jeff,
Right.
you know what my trick is when I
Yeah.
try to have conversations with people like this? The way that I find is most effective to kind of break through is like most people, typically speaking, if you're trying to so-called wake them up, they're generally speaking going to be Trump. Like they love Trump. Sorry, they don't love Trump. They hate Trump, or they're like big time liberal. They love their Canadian brainwash corporation. They love their and all that, right?
Yeah.
Now, what I do is I'm kind of like you, where I don't believe any of these. I'll believe in any democracy that's all real. I think it's all a show. Everything's a show. Everything's predicted. All this stuff. I don't like Trump. I don't like Biden. I don't like Trump for reasons that not because CNN tells me, but because of reasons why I've done my own research and see why he's a shill, as you would call it.
Yeah.
So what I usually do is when people start saying, "Oh, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist," first thing I ask them, I say, "Well, listen, you don't like Trump, right?" They say, "Yo, I fucking hate that guy. He's an asshole. CNN says he's bad." I'm like, "Okay, fair enough. I don't like him." I say, "What is it about Trump that you don't like?" And they'll say, "Oh, CNN says he doesn't like Mexicans. He said grab her by the pussy. He said this. He said that." And I say, "Okay, fair enough. My reason for it is to make it simple. If you look at like the Clintons, he never put them away. He's done deals on his buildings with very shady people and very shady banks. The same so-called swamp that he wanted to drain. He partnered with on his business ventures and stuff like that. So once I say that, they kind of start understanding, okay, this guy's not crazy. He doesn't like Trump like I do, but his reasons make a lot more sense. And from there, that gets the foot in the door and says, okay, you know what? Like, what else do you think is happening in this world? And that's when we start laying the so-called conspiracies that the media would say. But you're bonding with a certain person that you try to explain it to. So you start with things that you have in common, and then you start breaking on the new information. Because I've noticed that it's a lot harder to convince someone that they're wrong than to convince them that of something in general.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to fool somebody than.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
With teenagers, something that's very like I have teenagers. I have a 15, 13, and a 10-year-old. And what I found has worked with them is there's a website called The Vigilant Citizen.
Yep.
And it open up a lot of people's eyes, to a lot of the MPulse stuff and the Monarch programming and all that. And they show them what celebrities, and they show like which celebrities that they watch and listen to and they see on TV every single day. And when they can read these articles for themselves, when they get that information on their own, like my 15-year-old now, she will, like when she hears a new catchy song, because we got rid of cable, we got rid of everything. Like we still have Netflix because my husband is still. My husband still likes it, but we've got rid of everything else. And my daughter hears something on the radio, and if it sounds awful, but it all started with me showing them their celebrities, because man, it doesn't take very long for you to look into the celebrity world for you to find a lot of really dark stuff.
Yep. Yeah. The is it the Vigilant Citizen you said is the?
Yes, I love their website.
They actually years back, I think maybe 2014, they covered one of my videos, and I believe it was on Miley Cyrus.
Yes, you are exactly right.
So I am familiar with the website because it was like back then it was more common for channels like mine to get like viral videos, and all of a sudden you'd wake up and the next day you got 100,000 views and be like, oh, somebody somebody with a big website posted one of your videos. So I remember that. But that's I think back in the day, you could say Call for an Uprising and Vigilant Christian and others kind of got to a lot of people because they covered the Pockets of the Future, another one. They cover the celeb stuff, and then they show some of the occultic stuff that goes with it and rituals and all that. Casey's another one, Enter the Stars. So it is a good window.
Speaking of celebrities who talk about occult stuff, there's one guy I kind of like. He used to play football for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Johnson.
Yeah.
and he's always posting all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know what exactly his story is, but if I had to guess, he was one of those guys where like he played and he was very good, and someone approached him and said, "Be part of the club, or else we're gonna ruin your life." And he must have said no or something. And next thing you know, he's on Twitter saying all these crazy stuff that revolve around occult and like history of like secrets and all that. And he says a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah, I know who he is.
I mean, I don't know what level of shill, let's say, he is.
I just to say, approach with caution. But
exactly.
if he's promoting the gematria, you know, he does. You know, like I remember him during the whole Kobe thing, because he was probably the #1 Twitter person putting out the videos and all the predictive programming with Kobe Bryant. Showing the whole ritual sort of thing. So that was very interesting. Let's see here. We got. I'll bring in Twaddle here. Let's see if I can get you in there. All right. So yes. Go ahead. Any of you guys got anything you want to talk about or say?
Yeah,
Jeff, I got a question. What's your opinion on that Randy Hillier?
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't really.
I follow a lot of his content, and I mean, I will say, like, I've done a little bit of digging on him to see like what he's all about, and I found that he essentially he was a member of the Conservative Party. They kicked him out because I guess he was too extreme for their values. So he was an independent. He got elected. I believe he was an MP or something along local government for a town in Ontario. And he's pretty much the only independent guy who actually has a voice in Ottawa. And I follow like a lot of like what he posts, and he's always in Parliament talking shit to like these so-called politicians who are talking about COVID or like the economic restrictions that they're doing. And they just like when they're talking, he's the mosquito that's like floating around stinging them, and they're just like, god damn it.
Yeah, I'd really like. I have not looked into him other than just a brief sort of Wikipedia thing. But
have you seen his content about like how he's against the lockdown and how he's like he questions. He was the one that brought up the topic of the psycho threshold before I knew anything about it. He brought it up, and I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? And I started doing my research on it, and I'm like, wow, this guy's got a good point. How I've never heard of this. Yeah, I start following a little bit more, and he starts questioning, like, why is it that the vast majority, like 90% of these people that are dying from it are from COVID, with like the vast majority of them being in the old folks' homes. Like, how do we know like how infectious they are when they're dying? How do we know if it's from neglect or if it's from the virus? Asking questions that if people like you and I were asking would never have had that question even heard. But because he's in office, I hope he's legit.
Me too.
He's doing all the right stuff. He's poking all the bears that he's not.
Well, another one is what's his name there, Maxime Bernier.
Yeah.
And I'd be more suspicious of Maxime Bernier
for sure. I mean,
but Maxime Bernier does, talk about Agenda 2030 and.
Well, I saw that when Randy Hillier, he did a protest actually because he's hardcore against the masks. Yeah, and he did a protest in I want to say Ottawa or Toronto, and his right hand man for that project was Maxime Bernier, and they were together talking about like anti-masks and freedom and this and that, and it was
because it is interesting because there is that element that is present. It's like
the odor in the air, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, like you'd like to think, but then they all get tied to QAnon, right? And then they all get tied to Trump, and so they're easily dismissed, or at least not to us, but say the general public, in the sense that, so you wonder, like, if it's purposeful leaks but with Randy Hillier, the fact that he's an independent means a lot. Like, that is
the same could be technically said about Bernier, because he was a conservative, got kicked out and made his own party.
But Bernier's been involved. I would be suspicious of Bernier because I was suspicious of Bernier way back when he first started popping up in all these controversies. Like, he could be a character. I wouldn't trust him, but I'm glad that there are
There's people like him. Yeah, I know,
yeah,
I know what you mean.
but I don't trust him. I would trust Randy Hillier just based on what I know more.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, because it could be like, what if a strategy is this? And just hear me out here for a second, because they know that there is a certain percentage of Canadians that are awake to what's going on, what they're really trying to do.
Like you and I, you mean, type of thing?
Yeah, and that they want to be able to control that and identify all those people, and potentially just take control of that sort of flow of information. Then they would specifically position people in those areas, sort of thing. So it's I'm always skeptical, but then again, I don't believe, like, it's not like we all have to think the same. In fact, that's the problem with what we're facing, is that they want everybody to be of a hive mind. If every single human being on the planet had critical thought, then none of this would be happening.
No, definitely not.
Everyone would be like, "What? Give up my rights? What? Put that on my face?" Like.
I've been following a lot of like Quebec politics, and you know how like the CAQ is like is our provincial government. There's the Bloc, which is basically like as if Texas was their own little party to the Democrats and Republican third party, essentially. The Bloc represents Quebec, and they got apparently their best interests in mind. And that's why they're the tiebreaker, essentially. But their so-called tiebreaker, they're actually with the Liberals. Every time they want to vote, they vote on their side, or essentially anything that pushes the agenda. Mm-hmm. But I've noticed that on the provincial level, where there's the CAQ, there's the Green Party, there's the Bloc, not the Bloc, there's the PQ, the Liberals, obviously. But there's another one that I haven't really heard of that's starting to gain a little bit of momentum. It's called the Parti de Conservateur de Québec. Mm-hmm. It's the French, the Québécois Conservative Party. Mm-hmm. And their leader, he retired, or he left the party. So they're trying to find a new leader for their party. And one of the guys that they're really championing around, that they really, really want to get to try and go and fight all these restrictions and have people like you and I have a voice to voice our opinion. It's he's a radio announcer for C'est Quoi FM, 98.5, I think it is. Yeah. That channel. He's like kind of like the Alex Jones, I guess you could say, of Quebec. Mm-hmm. And they're really, really championing around this guy being the leader of the party, because they think that like all those guys that think like you and I are at the very least the QAnon followers type of thing, or the ones that like that support Trump. Just essentially anyone who's mainstream right wing will vote for him and say screw the CAQ. All those guys that vote for the CAQ, who are essentially right wing Quebecers, will realize what's going on and say, you know what, we don't want this CAQ anymore. We're going to go with the Conservative Party. And they're preaching basically all the same stuff that we are, like the anti-mask, the lockdowns. Let's get the show running, more transparency around the testing and this and that. So it's just an interesting thing to see. And they were saying they were trying to do like a little fundraiser where for every membership that's gained for that party, so I think it's like every $10, you get a membership and you have a voice within the party to elect who you want to elect. You get the opportunity to get the membership card, and if this guy Eric Duquesne, I think his name is, if he becomes the leader, you can vote him into the party.
Interesting. Well, it's I think Quebec needs a strong sort of conservative party, because I don't think the CAQ is.
No, that's it. Like
But to me, politics is their realm, sort of thing. So, but of course, QAnon would make me very apprehensive. And any sort of strong connections to QAnon, and that feeds the whole. That's the problem, right? It's like when we have demonstrations.
That's how you get stuck in the game.
Because like you see how the media portrays it when there's a big demonstration here in Montreal. There's been a lot of them.
Yeah, and they have those QAnon.
It's automatically QAnon, and all the articles are hit pieces, and they're all focused on QAnon. And it's like, well, wait a second, this is Canada, Quebec to be specific, and why would it be QAnon, right? But QAnon shows up, or at least people with placards and whatnot, and the message, it's hijacked then, and that's dangerous because. Again, QAnon is a massive operation, and it mixes a lot of this legitimate stuff with things that are purposely false.
Yeah.
And demonstrably false, and almost silly at times, so that because like the way, and I explained this about QAnon, is that the way it kind of is played is that if you're in the cult, if you're in the QAnon cult, you're just kind of, you know, absorbing everything that's coming through, and you're not really seeing much else. You're just seeing the way that the QAnon and MAGA are seeing everything. But if you're outside the cult, or if you're watching on CNN, you see a completely different image of how QAnon. It's like what the reality of what the average person in QAnon might be, as opposed to how the average person on CNN and whatnot see QAnon is quite something.
I mean,
so
the same thing can kind of be said about even like Black Lives Matter protests. You know, like a lot of the people that are attending, the vast majority don't want any violence. They just want to be there and they want to have like equal rights. Because chances are the majority of African Americans that are there have probably had a bad encounter with the police, and they're there to be a body to show their support for African Americans and more justice. But then what happens is you start getting these events, like you look at the in Wisconsin there, when the window breaking, there was that huge event all over the news, and they were saying, oh, it was actually like a police officer that was breaking, or there was this or was that. Bottom line is you don't know what's staged and what's not staged when it comes to the violence. And the vast majority of people that are attending, just like the QAnon,
I agree.
QAnon they don't want to wear masks. You know, they want the economy to open up. Black Lives Matter. They want vast majority of people. They want equal rights for people of all ethnicities. You know, they want better relationships with the people and the police, which I can agree on all that. What happens is there's these events which they can be staged. They might not be staged. Who knows? But the media will film it with a camera right on it, waiting. And they'll put it on the 5 o'clock news right away for everyone to see and for everyone to get triggered.
Yeah, it happens all the time. It's unfortunately, it's like even a lot of what you see, like say, like for instance, when Trump was elected and you had feminists screaming and stuff like that, that's a lot of theatrics. Like a lot of that is, you know, a lot of what happens that seems organic has actually been purposely placed there, in my opinion, to push the further divide and you know, to inflame or to incite or to, you know, add ammunition to whatever side, you know, it's designed to tailor to, sort of thing. So there's constant manipulations afoot, and it really makes it difficult to know who's who in this realm. It
makes me wonder how much is about profits and how much is about really pushing this agenda. Like, you know, are they doing it because they want money, they want those clickbaits, you know?
Yeah.
Or are they doing it because like the people that are running the show are saying, no, you're doing this?
Yeah, exactly. It's a really good point.
They want it all. They want
it all.
Yeah. To eat it too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that, you know, this is the way that I approach it, is that it's a controlled paradigm, right? And like to get too invested on either side is folly, because that's where you're going to be controlled, and that people need to step outside the paradigm and realize that we have to stand up for our rights. Otherwise, they're all going to be ripped away, sort of thing, and not fall into the controlled theatrics of the left-right paradigm, sort of thing. But unfortunately, emotional manipulation is how the media works, right? Like all news works on emotion. Like you could look at your 6 o'clock newscast and it's puppies and machine guns, right? It's like it's a constant tug of war of your emotions that they use to keep you in that controllable state, right? They don't want you completely bonkers, nor do they want you completely relaxed. They want you in a I better do what the government says sort of thing state, right? You know, so like more fear than anything in my belief, just like what they're doing right now with this massive scamdemic that they have, using fear to control people, but also using emotions, like constantly manipulating people. It's like if you watch a segment and there's this segment in your news about some local person making masks for homeless people, for instance, right? You know, and they'll have the soft piano music in the background, and they'll have the person discussing, oh, you know, I care so much, and this, you know, lulls the viewer into this false sense of solidarity, and you know, but ultimately it supports the whole a brainwashing of the masses, sort of thing. So yeah, it's that's what media is, though. Media is just manipulation. If any anybody in media is worth their weight in salt, they would tell you straight up. They would say, "Oh, it's all manipulation."
But I mean, then again, man, who like the average reporter? You think he's awake like us, or you think he's just trying to earn a salary?
No, not at
push a
all.
story,
The average reporter is just an idiot, useful tool who probably knows very little. But the thing is that the whole structure, it doesn't matter what they know because it's like the average person, right? The whole world is structured like them. Okay, I'll give you an example. I was watching, like I do watch, movie critics and stuff like that. And I'm going to do a video on Supreme Lord Commander pretty soon about what I've noticed going on is that a lot of these critics that are being established who look organic on YouTube, and they have the exact same formula. I call it the Adam Neely formula, where they will come in and they'll critique a very popular, controversial film, right? But they'll draw all kinds of support for their argument from New York Times, from TEDx, and from, right, all these New World Order sources to back up their narrative on how they interpret the meaning of the film, and then the video will get 1 million, 2 million views.
The same could be said about our news. CBC, they get their news, like their White House correspondent is a guy from CNN. So whatever that guy's spewing out, he's spewing out to the Canadians like us. So we're getting one side. There's no such thing as a Fox News in Canada. The closest thing we got to a Fox News is Rebel. News,
Exactly. That's
Rebel
our,
News
that
and
is our
some of the Quebecer news stations.
Yeah, it's like our Breitbart, basically.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
There isn't really because like you've got what CBC, CTV, and Global, I guess, are the big three.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and then you got Maclean's, which is more not really television. So there really isn't, it's post media.
I find like the closest right wing we got essentially in Quebec at least is the Journal de Montréal. They're they have like those fringy kind of stories. I notice like a lot of like my leftist friends there, they get triggered sometimes when they post like an article. They're like, oh, how could they say that? That's so offensive. With their big bold letters, how they post on the paper.
Yeah. But it doesn't. It's not. Even though Quebec is extremely political, there isn't a strong conservative vein in Quebec. I think there is, but it's just not tapped into, kind of thing. Because the Quebec is so socialist and it has been, especially since the separation at least the separatist
socialist state, essentially.
That's a good way of putting it.
I mean, that's the only way I can think of to describe it.
It's quite.
Our liquor is run by the government. Our hydro is run by the government. Our weed, our SQDC run by the government. Anything that are gambling run by the government. You name it, they have a profit on it. Construction.
They make ridiculous profits off it, which is quite something. It says a lot about the true nature of government when governments promote gambling, for instance, and drugs, which they are promoting.
Essential. In like the peak of the lockdown, you want to go to the liquor store, you want to go buy your weed, you want to go to your post office, you want to go to your driver's license, you want to go buy some lottery tickets. They let you do all that, but no, you can't go buy clothes. You want to buy a pair of underwears? No, that's off limits.
Can't go to church either.
No, you can't go to church either. Like, gatherings like that, you're not allowed.
I just brought in Hell on Wheels. Are you there?
Yay, hell.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, what's up, dude?
It's good to talk to you. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
You hanging in there?
Yeah.
Right on. You're in, if I'm not mistaken, let me get this right. You were on Staten Island, right?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay, that's it.
we were the one that's governed by Mr. Ed.
Yeah, that's right.
Are there a lot of protests going on in Jersey?
Oh, they're getting some backlash.
Stuff? Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're getting some backlash. I don't remember. I read something how Murphy's lockdown restrictions are starting to get some more backlash. I love going on his Twitter, man. It's hilarious sometimes.
Is he like super unpopular right now? Is there a kind of divide in how he's running this? whole thing.
Yeah, a lot of the people that I see commenting on his tweets are like angry at him, but then there's also these people that are like Murphy sycophants, and I'm like, God damn it! Like, do you just like before you read his Twitter, do you stick a fork in your brain or something?
Well, there is a lot of shill accounts that will boost up these characters, and you're gonna see that. But then there's just a lot of people that watch television and believe. I find it pretty crazy because, like, just looking at these people, like, every single day, I am enjoying. If there's one thing I do enjoy, I'm seeing up here in Canada, which I showed last week, which was global news and how the comment section on YouTube and people are reacting to these characters, and every week it gets more anger. There's like more just venom that's being spewed towards these characters that they have propped up and have used to be the controllers of how
I love to troll the globals and the CTVs, their comment section, because like the majority of the time it's people that are like us, like, speaking out against all these bad things that are happening. But I like to spice it up a little bit and throw a crazy, wacky, super hardcore left comment that goes completely against what everyone is thinking. And then you see the darndest comments of replies back, like, "Oh, this is a troll, Russian troll, troll, fake account, fake news. You're crazy," all these things. And then you get you get to see the crazy, wacky left people that respond back that are taking my side on it, saying, "Oh, no, you guys are crazy for thinking John is a crazy guy, like, what are you talking about, crazy Trump lovers, man?" You see like the darnest wars.
Yeah, it is a smart tactic to kind of say the opposite of what you would think in hopes of
it's like double
provoking a response, like saying, "Oh, I can't believe you guys don't like lockdowns," and wearing a mask.
Way harder than that.
Yeah, I know. What's the matter with you people? Right?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you like vaccines? What's wrong? Like, just you say things, and that I do that myself, and just kind of try to poke a strong reaction from people.
I remember one of my comments was, "I hope all these Trump-loving anti-vaxxers are the first ones to get the vaccine, so that they realize that it's super safe. But if they die, they die."
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, what kind of logic is that? You're crazy."
Yeah, I hope they get it first. So if they're right.
Yeah, exactly. If they're right, well, they're the first to go.
I just tell people, like, hey, if you wanna line yourself up for the Bill Gates vaccine, I guess that's on you. Like,
yeah, exactly. As long as people have a choice, it's not so bad. Like,
well, you
if you want to get the vaccine, you take it.
You can ask people, it's like, well, why? Like, why don't you believe in vaccines? It's like, why do you trust Bill Gates? And then try to get a good, honest answer from that. Because, like, why? Like, seriously, you're going to trust a guy that has no medical degree, no science degree, that is responsible for making the worst software in the history of the world that's full of viruses? Like, why would you trust this guy? Look at him, right?
Interesting.
Exactly. The one thing I've noticed, though, is, like, I've been talking to people, like, physically out in public a little bit more. Like, I don't know, the other day I finally went and got a haircut, and I noticed that a lot of people were saying, like, yeah, these restrictions are bullshit. And I'm like, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
But then, like, then you get some people that are like, yeah, these restrictions are bullshit, but hey, the hydroxychloroquine and all that stuff. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I think most people feel like it's BS, but a lot of people don't want to like stand up and say it. I'm going to go, Jeff. I just want to tell you, thank you for letting me in, but I have one funny story for you before I leave.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So it has to do with mask tards. I was in a Kohl's. Are you guys aware of Kohl's shopping department stores? Okay.
Yep.
I was in a Kohl's. I live in Indiana. I was in a Kohl's with my son. We were getting ready to send him off to Indiana University. So we were buying all of his dorm room stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we get everything in our cart. We have our masks on, by the way, the whole time. We're complying. They have those stupid dots. They have those stupid dots on the floor. So we are standing in line. We're talking, waiting to check out. He and I are just engaged in conversation. And all of a sudden, the woman in front of me who is standing on her blue circle, turns around and looks at me and says in the just most hateful way, "Excuse me, can you please get on your blue dot?" And I couldn't believe that I was not on my blue dot, because I wasn't intentionally not on my blue dot. I was just engaging in a conversation with my son. So I looked down at my feet, and instead of 6 feet away from her, I'm like 5 feet 8 inches away from her. Right, so it's like 4 inches she's complaining about.
Wow.
And I was confounded. I was like, I can't believe it. So I looked up at her and I said, your mask won't save you. And everyone was just, and she just looked at me and she was just like, "Look, sweetheart, I just don't want you standing so close to me." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then the people behind us, it was a couple probably in their 20s or 30s. They said to me and my son, they were like, "It's okay. You can stand as close to us as you want to." So this woman ended up looking like a complete fool in this line at Kohl's. And I was
Nice.
like, "Yes, God, thank you."
Yeah. Nice. There's still some humanity left.
Exactly.
The humanity is there. It's just hidden.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I say I think a lot of people are just too they just feel inhibited and just they're afraid of the social repercussions. But I say, you know what? Just stop being masktards. And like I am so tired of this. Everybody's tired of it. And I just pray, and I don't know how you all feel, but I just pray for Jesus to come back soon.
Oh, I do
That's just
too. I'm a
Yeah.
pre-tribber.
So, all right. Well, it's been a pleasure, a true honor talking to you guys. So I'm gonna let someone else join in the chat. I'm gonna leave.
All right. Thank you so
All right.
much. I
All right.
really
Thanks,
appreciate it. It
guys.
was very nice talking to you, and
Nice to meet you, Jeff. You
Yeah.
guys have a great night.
have a great night. Thank you so much. I'm gonna ask. Actually, I'm gonna say maybe John, if you could step out now, because you've had quite a bit.
Yeah, no problem.
I feel bad though. I don't want to do this, but
So,
No worries, no
just so
worries.
we can get, because I know I just checked and there's other people trying to get in. So if you guys can just step out of the room, sort of thing, and come back though.
Hey, that's ableist. Don't tell me to step anywhere.
Nah. Yeah, unfortunately, just the way that the StreamYard thing works, I only got room for 10 people in the in the sort of waiting room, and that includes the 6 of us that are on sort of live at the moment, sort of thing. So I do have to kind of rotate. So I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to say things and comment and talk about things that they want to talk about. But
No problem. I'm gonna take.
thanks, John. Yeah, come back later though.
I'll
For
join-
sure.
Yeah, I'll join the.
It was great.
Sounds good. I'll see you
Really
later.
enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, I know JS is trying to get in. Who else is trying to get in here?
me.
Whipped cream on horse.
I got some
Hang on, I'm gonna we're gonna put in put back Lee. Isolation Queen, your device is not connected, so I can't put you in right yet. I know Twaddle's been having trouble. So I'll bring in Will and hope that you guys are working here. How do we got? We get 2, 4, 5, 6. So we should, just for folks out there that have been trying to get in, and I apologize, it's just the way it kind of is. We can't fit everybody into the waiting area. But if you're trying to get in to talk to the show, please try again right now, and you should be able to fit in at least a couple more people here. So yeah. Will,
Jeff,
Lee.
I'm gonna jump off, so you can come. I'll come back after though.
Okay,
So,
okay.
It seems like some other people want to get in, and my husband just woke
Are
up.
you sure you don't have anything else you want to say before you
No,
go?
I'll come back after.
Okay,
And
thanks so much.
I do. I have some things I want to tell you. But,
Awesome. So definitely come back, and I will keep everyone updated on the availability here of spaces that we have at the moment. So thanks so much, Tay. I really appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. I'll come back after. Love you.
All right. Well, love you too. Talk to you soon.
All right.
And let's see
Jeff,
if
did you see the whole thing that happened with like YouTube and a bunch of other sites while this was going on?
Yeah, we were held up because the show was supposed to start at 8 and YouTube was down. So is that what you're talking about? YouTube being down?
I'm thinking that they just probably put some very, very family friendly AI for us, with extra rainbows. That's all they did. They wanted to make the AI very, very, very friendly and keep us all from being offended. Don't you think, Jeff?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm thinking whenever I see like major social media sites go down, that they're testing things out and they're like, okay, let's give it a test run sort of thing and all that. But maybe I'm thinking too much on it. But
Yeah,
I think you're right.
what I kind of think is that they're doing that because it serves more than one purpose. Because everything that they do serves more than one purpose. So I think it's that they're taking it down to put the AI up or whatever, but they're also
Yeah.
I agree.
also testing people's reaction because they know, we're all just sitting there like, oh my god, YouTube's down. Why?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And again, it's interesting. I talk about this. I don't watch television, but I did, way back when, watch The Simpsons in the 90s, right? For instance. And I remember seeing an episode which stuck out for me because I went to go look it up years back and I ended up finding something that blew my mind, which was the snow day episode of Simpsons. I don't know if you guys had ever seen that episode.
Yeah, man. I remember that episode. Yeah.
Okay, cool, Twaddle, because there's 2 episodes that do the same thing, but they're completely radically different. I think they're about 10 years apart. So in the first one, which was, I guess, in the 90s sometime, maybe late 90s, where there's a snow day and Bart is, because he's doing bad in school, this is my foggy memory because it's been a long time since I've seen it, he's forced to stay inside and work on some school project. And then he is like, oh, it can't be that great, that everybody's not at school today. And so what, there's snow outside, they can't be having that much fun. And then he looks outside and it's like a winter carnival. Like everybody in the town is like
fun.
Full Christmas spirit. There's even Mr. Burns and Smithers are out, and like everybody's out there.
This was back when the Simpsons was still funny.
Yeah. I remember that. So when I went to look it up years later, I saw another episode of a snow day in which the power went down and Bart couldn't function because he couldn't have his his computer wouldn't work. So he was rubbing a balloon up against his head to create static electricity so that he could get his computer to work just for a second or two, sort of thing, because he had nothing to do. And I think in a way that it shows how different people are now. That I lament it all the time with children that, when I was a kid, kids just played and it didn't matter. You'd meet kids every day. You just start playing with them.
It was like The Sandlot. It was like The Sandlot, man.
Yeah. And
that movie, The Sandlot. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but just that.
You haven't seen it? Hold on. You haven't seen The Sandlot?
Oh, yeah.
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh! It's a classic, man. It's great. It's hilarious. Yeah, you got to see it.
Can you turn down your mic? You always
damn it!
You've always got the loudest.
It's always me, man. Hold on, I'm turning down the volume right now. How?
Mic level. Yeah, turn down.
Hey, Jeff.
Hang on.
On my back.
Yes. Go ahead.
On my back end.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Go
Okay.
ahead. You're back in, Suzanne.
Before.
Yeah. No. And it's.
Hey, I'm turning it down, bud. Is that more normal or too bad still?
Too bad still.
You're gonna cripple.
Oh my gosh!
Ears, Damn.
Yeah, right. You're blowing our ears out. We're gonna be deaf.
Hang on. I might be able to fix it. Hang on. Let me see.
Hold on. What about now?
No. They've got something here, and then they says edit. No, that's Will. Hang on a second. What am I clicking?
I don't understand, man.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Is it still horrible?
It's super loud. You're always.
Oh my gosh!
Maybe you could just move your head away from the microphone.
I can't hear myself.
Yeah, you can't hear yourself.
Okay, what about now?
Yeah, now it's about 8 billion times worse.
Okay, sorry, I am a retard, and let's continue. Sorry.
Now you got enough static to sound.
Whatever
like
you've done, do the opposite.
Stop rubbing a balloon against your head.
Yeah. Whatever you've done, do the opposite.
Well, no, it's good. It's good now,
No,
right?
it's beyond awful. It's
Oh my gosh, do the opposite.
I had to mute him. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're gonna have to fix that because it's too loud. It's blowing my ears when you're on. And this has been a problem, twaddle. Unfortunately, if you can just figure that out for us, please, and then we'll be more than happy to have you here.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey Jeff.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I found an interesting and disturbing. Actually, I found a couple of things. One, I found Jordan Peterson admitting he worked for the UN and helped with the Agenda 2030 document.
Ooh, not surprised.
Yep, neither am I. But then also, as far as predictive programming goes, I might have mentioned this before, but in 2013, there was an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's one of
I've
the
watched
few
that.
TV shows that I watch.
Yep.
And it was the gang gets quarantined.
Yeah.
So basically, a bad flu breaks out in Philadelphia. Stop me if you've heard this one. A bad flu breaks out in Philadelphia, and the gang quarantines themselves to not get it because they don't want to lose their voice. And the whole time they're talking about, you can't bring anything into the bar. Don't order takeout. You have to. We have to stay in here.
That's our
go
mind
anywhere.
control. That's how it works.
Yep.
Hey, am I talking okay now? I'm talking through a tunnel.
I don't know how you
Is
I
that-
don't know.
Is that okay, dude? I
It's
don't have
better.
it all the way down.
I think you're just loud.
I have it all the way
Does
down.
anybody?
dude.
Do people in your life say you're a loud person?
No, man, it's crazy. Look, is it still too loud? Because this is crazy.
We're
Are
gonna see
people in
that.
your life deaf?
Well, I
work
play
in a-
guitar
do you
every
work
day,
in a
so
home
maybe I'm
that-
deaf, man.
Yeah, you work in a home with people that have hearing aids.
Hearing aids, yeah.
Oh gosh,
Just
I don't
talk
know.
softly. There you go.
I just hope I'm okay. I hope I'm okay. You know, I don't know.
It's a lot better than it was.
Yeah, it's better.
But,
It's better.
but you're still loud. We're just
Still, I'm gonna turn it down more then. Hold on.
I think he's got like the what is it? What's that movie there with the rock and roll guys?
Okay, hold on. I turned the gain all the way down now. It's like not even on at all. Is that still crazy?
Yep.
Oh
Can
my
I share
gosh.
something
Ooh.
like pretty
Yeah, go
interesting
ahead, Will.
about what's going on here?
Anyway, wow. Well, that's all right. I'm just gonna move. Like, hey, maybe I just need to move 6 feet away.
Yeah,
I'm moving 6 feet away. All right.
Yeah.
Audio
Wear
distance.
go in the
wear
next
three
room.
masks. Wear
Make-
relayer mask. That's what Teresa Tam tells you to do, right?
Put a pillow
Is
over
that
your
what it is?
face.
I don't even know. That's crazy. Hopefully
That's,
it's a little
that's
bit
what it
better
is,
now.
right? Right?
we wanted to hear what Will had to say though, because I got cut off there, Will.
It's alright. I don't know what's going on.
What
but,
were you saying, Will? Tell us.
what was I saying? So here, there's if you guys don't know, I'm from Adelaide, South Australia. So
I love
hey,
sexy. I love your accent. Sexy.
thanks. And there's like no real mandatory testing or anything going on here, and we're like one of the only places in the world with like, well, I don't know about the world, but with like no distancing and mask mandates and stuff. And we're like one of the first states to like, we held this like Indian soccer match or something because we're like one of the only places in the world that can do that without distancing and stuff. And that just scared me. I was like, oh my gosh, of course they're going to use that as an excuse to spread the Kobe around, like, you know, some soccer match or whatever. But because like no one's getting tested here, like people are starting to actually think like, well, if we actually tested like everyone here, chances are probably like 75% of us would be positive. But everyone's realizing like, well, no one's actually sick. Like,
Yeah.
so maybe if we just like stop testing, like people in Melbourne and Sydney and rest of the world would actually be like fine. If that makes sense. Because like, but then, and then I heard on like the radio there was this elderly lady that was like that had it or whatever, tested positive, and she was like in her 80s, and they were saying how she recovered from it, but then they were just insisting on testing her again and just kept trying to test her positive. And they're just like, instead of saying, "Oh, great, she's 85 years old, she's recovered and stuff," they're like, "Nope, nope, nope. She's had some sort of a sign of a positive result. Nope, nope, nope. We're just trying to figure out if that's from before or a new case. And then 400 people around that area have to be locked down for this week and stuff."
One
I'm just
lady.
Like, leave the poor freaking lady alone. Like, she recovered from it. Like,
I tell you,
Oh,
I can
so cool.
solve the entire scandemic right now. I could do it right now. They say, stop
go
testing,
outdoors.
stop testing everyone, and the virus will disappear like that.
And just go outdoors. Go to the
Yeah.
beach,
And then
go
the
to
hospitals will be like, oh my gosh, there's all these people coming to the hospital now. We can't make the TikTok videos anymore. You know? But yeah, I mean, it's the tests are the biggest scam ever. And that's the whole, that's the whole numbers game that they play is with the tests. So the tests, I mean, I can't even stand looking at the news here because it's always the same. It's always, 893 people tested positive today. It's like, what does that mean? Like I don't know what that means. And then they'll say
800 positive cases and then 5 billion lockdown.
9 deaths. You'll say like 9 deaths, right, or 12 deaths, and it's like, well, Montreal is like 4.5 million people. There's old people that die every single day, and we know how that works. So the deaths, I don't buy at all. So yeah, it is what it is, but it goes to show you that's interesting because Adelaide being much smaller and kind of out of the whole, major sort of network of Melbourne and Sydney and Brisbane, right? That maybe you guys are lucky.
There's like an inside joke here that we're the forgotten state. Like we always get everything last. Like we're always like years behind everyone. So like some people I know, like, I just hope it stays like that. Like,
yeah.
Hey man, that sounds like a good deal to me.
Like I'm going. I'm so excited. I'm going bush camping next week. And it's just like so exciting. I'm so fortunate I'm allowed to do that. And
I'd rather be stuck back in the 1950s.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like,
I was watching one of your shows, Jeff. Like, oh sorry.
Go ahead. No.
Like a few months ago, like I can't remember exactly which one, but like, and I can't remember the guy or anything. But I remember you were showing like a little clip from like a guy that tested positive or whatever, and then the news outlet was interviewing him. I pissed myself laughing because it was like showing like the news like, so what's it like with the COVID, trying to show it's all deadly, and he sat there like computing for about 5 minutes just not being able to see my family for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my, like you would think the world's deadliest virus, it would be, symptoms, sick in bed, not being able to move, it's like, but the laws that are brought in by man, like, is the worst result from it. Like,
that should tell you everything.
Yeah. It does, because that's what it's all about.
Right. People are dying.
I mean, it is. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, people are dying not from COVID or of COVID, from COVID. People are dying because of it.
Yeah,
right?
they're dying because of the scamdemic, right?
Because of the scamdemic, right? And it's evil.
It is because this is the reoccurring story is so many people aren't getting treatment, aren't getting surgery,
especially the old people in the nursing homes. They're being abused, something terrible, and they're using this as a guise, to.
Yeah, they're saying they're all dying of COVID.
Yeah, they are, and they're not. They're dying from loneliness.
Yeah, they die from loneliness.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a fact that after one spouse dies, usually it's like less than 5 years later, the other one dies.
Right.
Yeah, it's an excellent point because when you think about it, they're losing their will to live.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been saying like for a lot of these people, like for instance, we had here. I remember showing somebody in Quebec, and they were like, if I can't be, they were like 89 years old, an old lady, right? Sweet old lady saying, if I can't be with my family, I don't even want to be alive, kind of thing. It's like, this could be my last, big dinner, and it means the world. I mean, if you have older people in your lives, this, like that they look for, like family is everything, and these dinners and Christmas and Thanksgiving and birthdays and all those, that means the world to them. And the fact that, I mean, it's awful. That's the cruelest thing. Like what the children and the elderly, to me, it breaks my heart when I see it.
I'll tell you what, man,
It
those guys at that funeral where the guy came up and told them that they couldn't grieve their mom. I
I know.
I wouldn't have gone down like that if it was me, man.
No, me neither.
That guy would have got a knuckle sandwich. I mean, seriously.
How people? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, how are people putting up with this? I can't understand this.
Well, that could be
stupid.
It could be theatrics, though, to set because they do a lot of that, right? Where it's like they carefully choreograph these things so that they send the message out to the masses that behavior won't be accepted, right? It's possible because
that could be.
Yeah, they did that in Australia where they had a number of characters who were actors and whatnot that were in confrontations with police, and that those things were actually being staged. And the simple sort of explanation for that is that the government is staging these things along with the media in order to put fear.
Fearmonger.
Because fear is the mind killer. Fear is how you keep people in control in a totalitarian sort of society.
That's right.
And so, if you can send out the message that, like, hey, this is what happens if you put a Facebook comment criticizing the government, right?
Right.
People come to your house, and it's awful. Right. Period. Like, is it worse that the government might be staging these things, or that they're actually doing it? It's like it's equal in a way, or kind of thing, because if they are staging it, they're psychologically manipulating people into fear.
I hear what you're saying. I was going to say it could be real, though, because, I mean, there's so many pricks. Like, there's so many dumb pricks out there, like, that would do that. Like they would actually do that, and that's a hard one hard pill to swallow, that people are that heartless, but they are.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, nobody that's actually had to face their mortality, and maybe this is going to sound like me being a dick, because I am kind of being a dick here, but nobody that has actually had to face their mortality should ever want to go along with this. I can tell you, as somebody who has actually had to face their mortality, it makes you think about what it means to live. So nobody that has actually had to go and face that, like, nobody that has actually had to consider that
no one's
wants
died.
to go along with this.
Who's died?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, Wheels, man, as long as they have their sports and their ice cream and junk food.
They don't have their sports anymore. They've taken their lollipops away from them.
I'll tell you how much the government cares about us here.
Right? I get
four children with. Sorry, Lee.
No, Suzanne.
Suzanne, sorry. Oh, yeah. Four children here with congenital heart diseases died because they refused to go to Melbourne treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
That's how much they care about us.
I know. I get this every day. I get people calling in, and I triage them, and I tell them they need to go to the hospital because they're having a heart attack, and they say, "Well, no, I don't want to go," and I say, "Well, why?" Because I don't want to get the COVID.
Yeah.
And I said,
I have a heart attack.
That's exactly what's happening.
COVID and surviving than you do of having a heart attack and dying right now. So I think you should go to the hospital and don't worry about if you get COVID or not. Because according to the CDC, if you wear a mask, you'll be protected, right?
Yeah.
So it's just criminal. And small children, not seeing the face. They've been doing studies on this. I don't know if you've seen Peggy Hall. She had a video up on this mother and this baby, and the baby was watching her. I mean, she didn't wear a mask. She was just, they were playing and she was smiling, and then she just stopped, just straight faced at the baby, and the baby started crying. So can you imagine how these kids are being traumatized with wearing this mask? They can't see people's faces. you know, they look like they're going to rob them, you know, because criminals wear masks, right?
Yeah, that and like
You know,
it's probably cutting off like it is cutting off oxygen to the brain.
It
so
is.
imagine what that's
The
doing to
creepiest thing
development.
ever. You know, seeing
Exactly.
a little kid wearing a mask is just so creepy.
It is. It's criminal. It's child abuse is what it is. And besides that, you're breathing in your own CO2. I say this to my patients. You're breathing in your own CO2. It's going to make you sick. It's going to decrease your immune system. You're breathing in. The mask. If you don't change them, you know, after 5 minutes, you've got a nice moist medium where the bacteria grows.
Face diaper, nice little face.
And
diaper.
you breathe it in, right? And you breathe that in, and that's what's making you sick. And there are all these people calling about. You know, they have face acne because of the masks. They have sore throats.
Bad
They've
teeth.
got sinus infections.
Got teeth problems.
There's somebody sent me an ad today for chewing gum that was cashing in on the whole mask thing. Do you have mask breath?
Oh,
and it was yeah. I'm gonna show it. I didn't, you know, I can't show it tonight, but
I was talking with someone about masks and stuff the other day, and like he came out with the argument saying, "Oh well, no, I disagree that it's not bad for you because you know, people in China and stuff have been doing it for years because of the smog and stuff, and they're like some of the healthiest people."
How does he know that though?
I don't know.
Yeah, how does he know that? These experts.
They keep doing that too, you know.
They say experts say, well, who the hell are the experts? I want to know.
Oh, whoever is on Bill Gates' bankroll. If you want to know who the experts are, just check Bill Gates' bankroll.
That's it.
They keep doing that. Like, look at this country. Like, look how this country did it. Like, look how Sweden did it. It's like, well, oh yeah, you mean the most New World Order country in the world, Sweden? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look how they did it.
Diversity is their strength.
Okay, idiot.
I don't like that movie, Midnight Summer, or Summer Midnight, or whatever.
Midsummer.
Midsummer. Is that true? That really freaked me out. That movie.
Yeah, I talked about that on the Halloween show there. But is the movie true? No, but is it based on truth? There are pagan cults that exist or existed back, you know, throughout
We'll call them just satanic. I mean, it's satanic. You know?
Well, that's a matter of perspective, but I don't think they would call themselves satanic. But I know Christians would see it that way. So, but yeah, they are.
Hey man, when you got old men jumping off of cliffs voluntarily to their death, that's satanic.
Well, that whole thing is like that movie has been used to push feminism massively. In fact, the main character, the girl, who does a great job with the role, and she's great acting. She's like you're meant to sympathize with her when she has her. You know, her lover, her boyfriend burned. She
has to make that decision. She has to make that decision.
Yeah. And that all these movie critics came out and said, you know, by the end of the movie, you sympathize entirely with her, and that when you see her finally get joy when she smiles at the end, that you actually feel her joy, you share her joy, and it's like it's massive, obviously massive brainwashing of the masses that they use these films specifically to push these agendas, the feminist agenda, the non-family, because that is actually kind of the big thing that they push, because it's the deconstruction of the family. The film, the blonde girl, her family is is murdered basically by her mentally ill younger sister or whatever, right? She kills them.
Yep.
In a mass murder suicide. And what does the New World Order push? Well, what is your family? Your family is who you think it is or who you want it to be, right? It's not who gives biological birth to you. So the film is pushing that narrative along with euthanasia, saying, isn't it perfect that we live in harmony with nature, in balance with nature, right? That nobody overstays their welcome, and life is a circle, right? Because the circle and the sort of worm Ouroboros that our controllers use as their symbol all the time, that is how they see time, right? And that this is so like they're pushing all the Agenda 21 feminism, obviously, and all those things in that film. And all films are like that. All films are like most films these days are a complete deconstruction of family.
I was gonna say like post 2005, like even when they do portray a family, it's always portraying like the dad as like a fumbling,
Homer Simpson,
whatever,
Peter Griffin. The King of Queens, right?
That's on purpose. Yeah.
All of it, yeah. It's the
Bruce
fat,
Jenner.
white, stupid guy, right? The stupid, fat, white guy who can't do anything. In Canada, anybody here or anybody in the chat that's listening, if you can recall in the 90s, Canadian Tire had this commercial, which was played during Hockey Night in Canada. That's the only reason why I saw it. But they had the Canadian Tire guy. And so they had a couple. They didn't have kids, but there was this really wimpy, scrawny male and his butch wife. So he couldn't do anything. He would go to Canadian Tire and he would buy whatever and he'd try to put it together, but he could never do it. And his big burly wife would come in and she would instantly fix everything, right? And so he was much lamented in Canada as the Canadian Tire guy. But this type of character has been purposely thrusted and mainstream along with the Napoleon Dynamites and like all the deconstruction, say, of alpha males and especially white alpha male type characters is largely, and then the whole twisted of the women becoming the men and the women adopting the roles of the man in all the movies, including Star Wars most recently with the Mary Sue character.
Dude, UFC, man. When UFC, just, we're going to bring women in now. It's going to be a normal thing. Yeah,
exactly. Bring women in. And again, Dana White at first said, no way, they're never going to be women in. And then, what's her name? Ronda Rousey burst onto the scene and ka-ching. He saw money.
White, dude. He's another, he's such a
crap.
Easily hateable. He's so easy to hate. Like, look at his face. Go on, sorry.
No. Yeah, you're right.
I'm gonna pop out for a few minutes because Isolation Queen's trying to get in.
Oh, okay, yeah. Thank you, Hell on Wheels. That's very kind of you. I didn't realize.
No problem.
Okay, come back though for sure. Okay.
Okay.
You can. All right. So that's very kind of you, Isolation Queen. Welcome. I know you've been trying to get in. Your mic's been all messed up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Am I too loud?
No,
you're fine.
Can you switch? Can you trade mics with Twaddle?
That's my role here. Okay, I'm the obnoxious loud one.
Oh, okay, I won't take that from you. Yeah. So even to pipe in on the conversation here, what we're talking about, the transgenderism, just it's like so blatantly in your face right now. Like TV commercial, I don't watch TV, but my like in that zone. But it's like it's everywhere now. It's everywhere. Like there's an exercise. I don't even know what the commercial was. It's like a typical female body, the back of the body in a workout outfit. But when it comes to the mirror and you see the reflection and it's a man, right? Like a lanky, skinny, feminine man. So it's so confusing. It's so confusing, like everything's so missing.
Well, they're blurring the lines. So This is the future of humans, where they're going to blend the sexes together and make a transhumanist sort of sexless or androgynous type of creature. So it's happened over the past several decades. You look at your media, especially Ellen DeGeneres, Rachel Madcow, Rowan Farrow, like all these characters are purposely androgynous, and they're the way that they do their hair, the way they dress. It's all purposely done, and it's becoming, and they do the same with the men. Like it's not just the women that are being the men are being emasculated, the women are being masculinized, sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's actually everywhere too, because I don't know if anybody had seen this report today on in London, England, where they were at the statue or the place of like laying the wreaths, and there was a bunch of laid, and then there was a soldier, monument, and then there was a soldier and a nurse like dressed up, and they walk over the that are laid on the ground, and they hold up a big bill that says "Climate War." So
you're breaking up there.
Cutting out there.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes,
just say it
better.
again. What was the reef say?
So the report that I seen was on Rebel News.
Yeah.
And where the wreath had been laid in front of the monument, a soldier and a mock-up nurse, looked like a mock-up soldier as well, wearing masks, walk over the wreath and hold up their big wreath, and in the middle it said, "Climate change is war."
Oh God, really?
Okay,
yeah.
so disrespectful, and we can get into that too. But then I'm looking at that nurse. It was a man. Oh, like there's no doubt about it. It was a man under that mask wearing a purple nurse
uniform.
Yeah.
The sister's uniform.
I was seeing the commercials here because I don't have ad block, right? So when I'm on my iPad and I'm watching YouTube videos, I get the ads and I try to skip through them, right? Sort of thing. But I was seeing some of the ads here for Remembrance Day, and the first thing they show, "Remember our soldiers," and they show a black man, which I don't have a problem with, but I mean, it's not like the average sort of Canadian war hero is a black man, right? Let's just be clear. But and then they'll show a woman, right? And it's like they before they're showing before they would show an old white man, they would show you their agendas first and foremost, sort of thing, right? Black Lives Matter and feminism and all this. And again, the whole, because it is Remembrance Day, but lest we forget, and it's well, what are we supposed to remember? We're supposed to buy into the notion that our soldiers are heroes, and it's well, that's garbage. First and foremost, doesn't matter what war you're talking about. War is war. War is just hell. And
they program them into actually really believing that they're heroes too. So,
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And most soldiers are fighting bankster wars without any question, especially if you're
definitely.
you're on the other side of the world.
Yeah, but they really get mad at you though if you try to point any truth out to them. Like a lot of them, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them, because they're still in that mindset of I fought for your freedom. And,
yeah, exactly.
And you owe your respect to me. Yeah.
Well, that's what there are certain things that we're never supposed to forget, right? And this is our programming. Our programming is
certain things that you're not supposed to remember, like the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Because lest we forget, we can't forget. There's one event. There's no way you can forget it, and you can never question it. And so you've got to remember that all the time. And then you got to remember that our soldiers are heroes, and when they're not. None of them are. None of them were. In fact, for Canada's sake, on Remembrance Day in Canada, a lot of soldiers died, right, in First and Second World War. There's a heavy body count, especially from Newfoundlanders and Quebecers and just all types of Canadian boys that were sent over that died massively. And again, these wars, what are they like? Oh, yeah, the bad guys were the Nazis and the good guys were the Allies. And that's the way it's written, because the script is written by the victors, right? The reality, the real truth is that these things are far more complicated, and that in the end, war is a game that is used by the elites to redraw the world in their interest, right? To reset the borders and the monetary structures and the ethnicities and
gaining land, basically. Yeah,
the banking system, all of these things, right? That they use war as a tool, just like they're using this as a tool. The exact same sort of tactic that they're using. And again, the propaganda. There is one really good film dealing with propaganda on war that I would recommend, and it's the one by Clint Eastwood called Flags of Our Fathers. And I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's actually kind of cool because it's the guys that on Iwo Jima or whatever, the flag planting that they show on I think it's the $5 bill or whatever, right? The iconic image of the soldiers planting the flag, right, in Second World War, the American flag. And those soldiers, those actual soldiers, there's 4 of them, and it follows their real story, or at least the outside the lies that we were given, that these people were heroes and all this stuff, that they were actually very conflicted and very ordinary people that were anything but heroes and actually ended up not living very nice lives. A lot of them, like I think 2 or 3 of them, ended up committing suicide and stuff like that. So it's all an illusion. Like we are meant to, we're manipulated endlessly. Our movies manipulate us endlessly, right?
It's glorified, yeah, especially through like in Call of Duty. I mean, wow, Call of Duty, you know. Can you
Those
really
video games are made. Those video games are made specifically to recruit. That's the main purpose of them. They actually made those for recruiting and for training.
Yeah, it's programming.
Yeah, dude, it's ridiculous.
Mind control at the max on drugs.
Yes, it's and these are, again, it's just the reality of our society. They want you to believe that you have democracy and freedom and free speech and all these things when you absolutely do not. And it's when you're in a realm like this where you learn the truth about that, right? Where you learn, oh, you can't say things, if you try to push the boundaries of what they allow you to do, they quickly come down and censor you and shut you down, sort of thing. So.
Right, exactly. It's like the U.S. elections.
Yeah,
the presidents aren't elected; they're selected.
Of course, yeah.
You know that's what the electors do, and most of the American people don't know that. They think their vote counts.
Yeah,
I have never voted. I have never voted.
They need that though, because that's the foundation. Like you have to have the majority of the population believe the system that they're in, whether or not they're adamantly against the puppet that they've installed is irrelevant as long as they believe the system. So I think in a way you could say the whole controversy surrounding this election is also a more control form of getting people to believe in their system and think that somehow their system is serving them, right? That their vote actually matters.
Right. Which it doesn't, and it's a dog and pony show.
Right? It's a dog and pony show.
It is, you know. Oh my goodness, who would want to vote for Biden anyway? I mean, come on.
Well,
but who would want to vote for Trump? But who would? But for him, he's a pedophile, isn't he?
I think it's all false. Like I've always said, like there's no way that many people would ever vote for a guy like Biden. So,
no,
they can like put up whatever numbers they want, but like, I mean,
but he hardly had anybody at his
yeah, nobody's.
Did you see that? Nobody was
he's got cars. He's got cars honking.
Yeah, I know. And they're interviewing
fucking
people.
Lame ass rally.
And they're saying, "Oh, it's we have a black vice president."
So it's just so insulting, and that's why it's so insulting, because it's like, look, obviously, if it's Trump versus Biden, then obviously, like we don't have a fair shake anymore. I mean, come on, like, I mean, I just don't. It's like it's so 100% done and like right in your face at this point.
It's always been that way to a certain extent.
Not to this extent, my friend. I mean, look, at least Obama could talk. Okay, Bush, you know, even though
but you got to realize that
Biden was Obama's vice president.
I'm just saying, this is a weird. This is like idiocracy, like, you know.
Yeah, but that's purposeful.
Yeah,
in my opinion, the idiocracy comes from our controllers.
Yes.
What is one of the big themes of idiocracy? Like they show it to you in the first 2 minutes of the film, that white people breeding is a bad thing. And so like a big theme of that movie is that we shouldn't be breeding. And also everyone's got a barcode, right? Like the guy freaks out. Where's your tattoo?
Tattoo?
You don't have where's your, right? And we're already there. I just covered it the other night where they're barcoding the children, right? In
that movie actually is funny, but it's really not funny. But yeah, sorry.
It's the New World Order, right? It's so if you wake up with that and you think, I'm on the cutting edge because I understand what's going on. Because I'm watching movies, like those movies were made for you to think that way, right? Like they purposely put them out because they control the media and they control, unfortunately, that's my opinion on how things are run. But again, like why would Obama be so diplomatic and well-spoken? Well, that's the role that he is there for. He's not there because they weren't going to have the first quote unquote black president be some nincompoop, right? Like the guy on Idiocracy with the machine gun, right?
I guess this is the only time though that like you really question the guy's like mental, capacity. Like this is the only time we've had a literal like senile old guy. So and on top of that, he's got like 10-minute compilation videos of him touching little girls.
Actually, Reagan was more senile than Biden, and in fact, Reagan
was he?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely, without question. In fact, Reagan, you could say, was clinically senile by the time they installed him.
Yeah, he was.
Clinically,
he was.
yeah, like he was senile.
Nancy, his wife.
Okay,
Nancy,
all right.
in the country.
Well, that was a little before my time, but yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, but Biden is senile. I mean, he's extremely senile.
Gerald Ford.
I would argue probably worse than the others, but okay.
Yeah, you could go back throughout history and you'd find a bunch of these types of characters. In fact, the movie that they kind of show you that is called Being There.
I saw that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, with our controllers gave us a movie called Being There, and it's Peter Sellers, who is one of the finest. He's a brilliant. Well, he doesn't. He's not even the president. He's like some nincompoop. Like he's a literal like. Shoe size IQ gardener guy who never doesn't know reality from television. And he's actually, they show him because he's such an idiot that he carries a remote control around with him when he walks around in New York City, because he tries to turn the channel when he runs into something that he doesn't want to see, sort of thing. So he is like the biggest idiot ever. And they clearly illustrate you that in the film. And by the end of the film, he's the strongest candidate to be the next president of the United States.
Right.
Wow.
And so they're showing you how it works. They're showing you that it's all an illusion, and that it has nothing to do with someone's intellect, or whether they're a true blue patriot, or they've actually accomplished all these things. Reagan was an actor. And
I was just gonna say that. Yep, he was the best.
And he was actually a bad actor.
he was a bad actor.
Hey, but he did say that one thing that made sense. The whole thing, the 9 most dangerous words, or "I'm from the government, I'm here to help you." I mean, that was a good line. I mean, I don't know, man. We know who was all shills, but there's certain quotes and things that you could pass on to others and possibly, plant a seed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Anyways, I want to just take a second here. We're at 10 o'clock. So I got John and Hell on Wheels want to come back in the room. So I'm going to ask if maybe a couple of you that maybe have said all the things you want to say, or are ready to maybe give a little break here. I'm trying to be polite. Oh, I feel so bad. I hate asking, but I don't want to keep people waiting.
Canadian way.
I had one more thing, man. I had a thing.
I think we should draw straws.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, okay. We'll host a vote. I wish I could do it like that. Like I have like one of those ball things, and you wheel around, and try to be as fair as possible. But yeah.
Oh, like Survivor.
Well,
shit.
Twaddle, did you have to go or?
Well, I had like one thing. Really,
okay, go ahead, please.
I posted I'm trying to sit back. I posted the link in the chat, and this just came out. This just came out today, and man, and I don't know if you've seen this, but I know just I'm a musician, you're a musician, so. You
just before you came, we did talk about it, but I don't think we were on air at that time. So, and you're talking about Ticketmaster using, going to be testing people before giving them access to concerts and baseball games and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with it all. I'll never go to another baseball game. Never going to another movie. I don't care. I'm richer for it. So.
They probably have,
crazy though.
Cutouts of you.
It is.
Jeff, at their stadiums. They probably have Jeff Seed cutouts. right, in the stand as audience.
That would be hilarious. I tune in, I see a few hundred of myself there in the stands.
Jeff C. Censored.
It's so even though I knew it was going to happen, it's so like un-American and so it's so
Evil.
just evil and
Yes.
when you actually see it, like it's like, here, we're just going to paste it right in your face. It really does strike it struck a chord with me today, because I was like, man, that's so, yeah. Here we go. So now if you want to go to any of these events, like, you're gonna have to prove that you've been vaccinated.
Yeah, exactly. That's
just
exactly,
insane.
That's exactly what we anticipated would happen.
It's just really disgusting. Anyway, gives me a really bad feeling. But yeah, man. If you, I don't know if you want me to step out, I'll step out. I don't care, man.
Oh well, thank you. That's really kind of you. Because,
no problem.
Just to get one more person. Thank you so much, Twaddle. It's always a pleasure having you on, and you're very funny. So
I'm sorry that I was so loud, dude.
It's all right. We're used to it now.
That's okay. We're gonna get our hearing.
I'm just wondering if I'm here.
Yeah, you're there. It's okay. So Twaddle's gonna go, and then
I'll join up later, man. So I'll exit out. So
okay, thanks, Twaddle.
All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, so I'll get you in here. Hell on Wheels.
Hello. Hey, what's up, guys?
He's
back.
Hey, Jeff. You know it's funny. Every time we're in a situation where someone's got to step out, it's always a little bit confusing who's gonna go first. I always say in the back of my head, I hear Donald Trump's voice. You're fired.
Yeah.
I need someone to step out. So
yeah, it'd be a relief if I could just like click and remove people, but at the same time it'd make me feel horrible. So yeah, it's just it is what it is. But again, it's actually kind of cool doing it this way, because before it was like when I bring one person in at a time, some people would be waiting 2 hours or more to get a chance. So like,
are there a lot of people waiting tonight?
Yeah, well, there was earlier. Now we've been able to fit everyone in. So I just, if anybody's out there and you've been trying to get in and you haven't been able to get, now's your chance, because we're not going to go too much longer. I'm probably going to go latest 10:30 here. So if you haven't,
bring up a topic.
Pardon me? Yeah,
Can
absolutely.
I bring up a topic?
By all means, please.
What do you think about like fake animals in the news? Have you heard of this?
Fake animals?
Yeah.
Like the murder hornets?
No, like men in
mosquitoes.
That are gorillas, because like gorillas are men in fursuits because they want to like take us away from God, from source, whatever. They've created these like animals, like zebras. Apparently, this is just news to me. There are horses with paint, like painted on horses.
Yeah,
and
I don't know if anybody would be fooled by that though.
but really,
although
like,
it's 2020.
I remember probably in like grade maybe 5 or 6, and hearing about this like suited like gorilla. Was it the gorillas or orangutan? I'm not sure which one. And then even like koala bears aren't real. What? I know this. Yeah. No, seriously, like these animals, I know it's funny, but listen, the conspiracy theorists, right? We always get laughed at, we always get the finger pointed at us, and then, right, see what happens. Look into it, because literally, if you look at videos of, like, say, zebras, there's any videos or any photographs, and you really look at them, the detail on them, they're not real.
It reminds me of,
I watch zebras all the time.
No,
I do. I watch. I'm like an addict of animal videos. So
okay,
I
I'm gonna send you some stuff, and I'm gonna just enlighten you. Okay, I just wanted to.
Remember the conspiracy triangle where like it said QAnon and COINTELPRO. Remember how
birds aren't real?
Yeah,
I know who might be pushing that stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of fakery going on. I don't know what you mean by zebras. I mean, like there are
sloths. Or like animatronics. Yeah.
I don't know, like where do you see them?
Okay, so they've had like there's like one mall in somewhere in the States where they had a gorilla and you had a TV in a cage in a mall.
Yeah.
I'll send you some of these links, and then you can then we'll go from there. Because I'm getting laughed at, and I love it. I'm just floating right
well,
now.
I don't think it. I think it'd be almost impossible at this point to fool people with a like a guy in a gorilla suit.
Been so fooled. Don't even.
I think people would see real quick, but
No, but we are so fooled. How people can't see what's like beyond their own noses at this point.
yeah, but animals are
Well,
something.
this is my thing, man. Like, you know, you're getting into some territory, and I'm not. I mean this with all due respect, but it's like you know, there's so much gaslighting because you got to remember that you know we live in a world run by malignant narcissists and psychopaths and people that are gaslighters. So they probably are pushing these conspiracy theories of the world is fake, this is fake, everything around you is fake.
Flat Earth.
Yeah.
Mandela effect.
I had a lot of people.
They use that though. If you remember, Isolation Queen, I covered. Maybe didn't catch it, but I covered a hideous creature from one level of hell. I'm not sure, but she wrote an article, or she did an article, and she said the conspiracy chart, and she said that these was an inverted pyramid. Yeah, it was some inverted pyramid crap, and it was like these are the conspiracies that are okay to believe in. These are the ones that are a bit crazy. These are the ones where you go into the danger zone, and these are the ones that lead to real world problems.
Am I in the danger zone? I'm beyond the danger zone, right?
Yeah, she had birds aren't real as one of the things, and I wonder who could be putting out that stuff. I wonder if there might be YouTube channels that might put out things like that in order to make conspiracy theorists look crazy. I wonder about that stuff, just like the flat Earth. I wonder if maybe certain flat earthers aren't really flat earthers, but they're playing the role in order to make us all look like we have no cognitive abilities.
Oh yeah, like the ones with the cat towers.
Yeah, those ones. So like I'm very skeptical. It's not that there isn't all kinds of fakery going on, but like with everything that's going on right now, right? You're gonna are you really going to divert energy to try to figure out whether somebody might be in a gorilla suit in some shopping mall?
No, I don't really care. I actually don't really care because all of it's all a big show to me, right? It's not it's not emotional for me. Like I don't get emotional about any of it. Like now I like from the awakening, maybe for me personally 2 years ago to this day is like turn the news on. That's the best show going.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great show.
There is massive amounts of cognitive infiltration into movements like this to push certain. This has been going on for many, many years, and they want so that when those hideous creatures that make those inverted pyramid charts about conspiracy theorists that get featured on the Daily Beast, as an example, they can say, look, there are crazy people that think this and that, and they're the same people that think that vaccines are bad, and they're the same people.
Like those doctors and nurses, 15 of them that stood around that podium, they called out like hydroxychloroquine, and that was the way to go. And this is maybe 2 months ago, and then somebody covered it maybe
they
2
got
weeks
pulled
ago.
down
On CNN, and Anderson Cooper, one of the doctors, they like totally flipped the script that one of those doctors was like with some kind of alien form thing, like these things don't exist.
Oh yeah. There was one. There was was it Uganda or something? I don't know. It was one. She was African, right?
Yes,
and she believed that alien hybrids were in the government, and again, like I explained it back then. I said, look. This is the way it works because they want to be able to control the anti-vaxxers. Now, okay, get this. This is crazy. I still haven't made a video about it, but I talked about the movie Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Came out in 1994, and it starred Kenneth Branagh as Dr. Frankenstein and Robert De Niro as Frankenstein's monster. Now, Robert De Niro's character in the film, there's a virus that is outbreaking, and they have locked down the entire city. And Robert De Niro's character is an adamant anti-vaxxer. who's screaming at the top of his lungs, "You're not going to stick that needle in me," right? And sure enough, he kills the doctor, the heroic doctor who's played by John Cleese, by the way, who tries to give him the vaccine, and he kills him, and then they end up turning him into using his body as the monster. Now, what are the coincidences? What are the chances that Robert De Niro, a decade later, is one of the top anti-vaxxers? Right? I'd say zero. I say it's all the script, and that this is how mental manipulation and the manipulation of the masses works, that they carefully plot these things out over several decades, and that this is what we have happening right now. And so, yeah, when I say the anti-vax movement, I think it's controlled by actors. I think they have, and again, it's like
the BLM movement, right?
Yeah,
that's what it is. Yep.
Yeah. It's not that everybody, not that everybody that is anti-vax is part of some conspiracy or is an actor or whatever. No, absolutely not. But that the people that control the whole narrative. Are
I
under
feel like
their
most
control.
people are against mandatory vaccinations. They're pro-choice for it. If you want to take it, you take it. That's your choice. But the government mandates and says everybody's got to get it as soon as it comes out, or you can't do this and we'll lock you up.
Right.
I feel like most people draw the line at that. Like anyone with at least a bit of common sense.
Yeah, that's
you would hope
a
so.
great
You would
point.
hope so. They don't have any common sense anymore. They took their brains. Remember?
Yeah. I want to get Aldi and poor Aldi's out in New Zealand. Oh, thanks so much, then.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have a great night.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
All right. And let's see here. Bring in Aldi. Hi, Aldi. How are you doing?
Hi.
It looks like you got nice sunny weather.
Hey, Aldi. Hey, Aldi. We know you.
Hi. Oh, really? Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Anything you want to contribute to? You have anything you wanted to talk about?
Well, it's quite interesting what you're saying about the anti-vax movement. I mean, let's keep talking about that.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about? Oh, don't worry. There's another truther I listen to on YouTube. I don't know if he's legit or not.
Okay. What's his? Do you know the name of the person?
Ask you what Joe and Brianna.
Jerome Brianna?
Oh, sorry, Joe. Joe
Brianna. I'm not sure if I know that person. I don't I'm anti-vax. I mean, I'm not I'm against the government saying you've got to put this in your body. I mean, that's what I mean. I don't know what's in the frickin' vaccine, right? I mean, it could be the elixir of, the gods and make me live forever. Probably not, though.
No, I don't think so.
Could be a placebo.
No, I know what's in the vaccine.
It could be a placebo.
Dead
Yes.
baby
exactly.
fetal cells, mercury.
I'm just
monkey guts.
Like Suzanne said, I just I don't want big pharma having control over I don't want Bill Gates having control over my body.
Exactly.
Oh man, I was kind of following the vaccine stuff lately. Guess who's got their vaccine out first? I think it's Pfizer. And
yeah, we talked about that.
Pfizer, dude, I have a little bit of a history with Pfizer, and their meds make you stupid, quite literally.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No,
I mean,
and I'm not even joking you. I was put I have a bunch of issues with my nerves because of one of my conditions, and I was put on this Lyrica stuff for a while. I took myself off of it last year against doctor's orders and stuff because it started to really screw with my ability to remember things. And I was always known for for being a guy that could memorize tons and tons of information all at once, and it got to the point where I couldn't remember my passwords anymore. So I just went F this. I got off of it, and my memory's back to normal. But the medicine for a long time took most of my ability to remember basic short-term memory stuff for a while.
Was it, and again, I want to ask you what it was because, you know, that's personal, but this is the truth about, okay, so Big Pharma, I mean, you could look into the history of vaccines and how many people have either died or have been, you know,
Yeah, and they have
completely
zero.
permanently damaged, right? And you could also just look at, you know, the narratives that have been pushed forth for so long. You could look at the growth of the Big Pharma or of just the vaccine corporations themselves over the past decade, which is the fastest growing industry pretty much.
And it's
So
all about
go ahead,
money.
Susan. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about money because they've got 0% liability, right?
Yeah, that's and the game that they've rigged, the game that they can't be
Right.
held liable, and
They
that
can't
is
be
just,
sued.
I
So
mean,
who
you
would
think
put
about it.
something in their body that you know, if you die, well, I'm sorry, tough.
Well, think about
you can't do anything about it.
the
You know,
mothers
we told you.
that bring
We
their
told you might die.
perfectly the mothers that bring their perfectly normal child in to get a
Right.
vaccine at a certain age, and then the kid becomes autistic a week or two later, right? It's like
Exactly.
the
And I
biggest
know
nightmare
people-
ever. Yeah.
I know people have done that. Actually, my daughter had a violent reaction to it, and I haven't vaccinated since because I don't believe in them.
Well, there you go. I mean, and this is not you know, it's not an infrequent thing. It's very common that people have these reactions to the vaccine. So there's every reason in the world why people should be skeptical. There's very little reason why people should have pure faith, blind faith. I don't understand anybody that's pro-vax. I have no idea. It's like, unless you worked on that vaccine and you looked at the clinical trials and you partook in everything that was done, how on earth can you have faith?
Well, it's easy, Jeff. The Canadian Brainwash Corporation.
Well, that's it. You appeal to authority, right? Like, oh, well, somebody says it's good. You know, Dr. Isaac Bogok says it's
Who's
good.
not a doctor? He's not even a doctor, right?
He's not a
Like
doctor.
Bill Gates. But Bill Gates said
Bogok is not a doctor. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah,
Plus,
probably
like,
isn't.
I
Exactly.
think
I don't
that
trust any of them.
No.
And one of the things I don't understand is the supposed the vaccine, the Pfizer vaccines, it's supposed to be 90% effective, right? So I don't understand by that logic, if there's a 90% chance that you'll be immune, whoever you come into contact with, why would they make it mandatory for that 10% that
Exactly.
you might have a chance? You're gonna really infringe on people's rights, go against like the Nuremberg codes and all
Yep.
that.
Exactly.
Just for a little 10% because why not? You know, is it at that point? It's like, is it about the health? Is it about profits?
The narrative that
who wins?
they're putting forth is that we don't want to have to do this. The Quebec government's saying this. The Canadian government's saying this. The American government's been saying it. But many other governments have taken it and said it's going to be mandatory.
What's scary, Jeff, is I was looking at our Quebec Health Act, and if you go towards the bottom, I believe it's Act 168. I could be wrong. It's in the 160s. And basically what it says is that the health minister, basically Arruda in this situation, can mandate vaccines if he chooses that he wants to. And what's scary is there's 8 different points that they can do, and 7 of them have already been done, and the 8th one is that vaccine.
Yikes.
Well, the 7 of them included they can shut down businesses whenever they want, they can restrict travel, they can make people wear certain protective gear mandatory. Things like that.
You know,
they all happened within the first couple of weeks of
decades of programming of the masses. So it's when you think about programming, this is important for people to realize that the scientists, the scholars, the academia, the journalists, you could say even government, they all go home, they all watch Netflix. Like, they're all getting the same programming. So if they came up years back and said, you know, a few decades ago, said, this is how we're going to do it, or this is the long-term plan. They have successfully conditioned people into the fear of the invisible enemy over the past few decades through all their movies, all their propaganda, all their New York Times articles and bestsellers and whatnot. And here we are. So the way that they've set the table is that people fear this, and so they're willing to give up all their rights in order to feel safer. And of course, we know the old term, those who sacrifice or give up their liberty for more security deserve neither, which is something that everyone should have learned from 9/11, of course.
Well, speaking of 9/11, the invisible enemy. Let's try and find weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, and you look at the past. Look like the commies in the 60s and the 70s. The hippie commies are the enemy. And then you look at Vietnam. What was the point of Vietnam? What did they accomplish? All these wars and all these things that they do. It's essentially, like you said, the invisible enemy.
Well, Vietnam.
Because it's money spinners. That's why. Because
it generates money for people.
Yeah, but Vietnam is interesting because the Barra Monsanto, the Agent Orange, they used Vietnam War to test many different chemicals, defoliants and stuff like that.
Even Japan, Hiroshima, they tested the atom bomb on them.
Yeah, exactly. And then you could say in the First World War, mustard gas and stuff like that, chemical warfare. So yeah, it's like this you could say the military industrial complex, the big pharma corporations have always been involved in these massive events and have always found ways to profit and test their wares.
I don't want to sound like a terrible person, but I do a lot of financial trading, and they do make for very, very good stocks in their portfolio.
Of course, because they're making more money than they've ever made before. I mean, look at the vaccine industry. As I said, they've nearly tripled in the past decade in their revenues. That's.
What do you mean the past 8 months?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's going to be like that.
They said the past 6 years is how when they tripled.
Yep.
Also, I wanted to add something about the programming thing that I don't think is touched on as much. I feel like with one of the big major things, because you got the narcissistic culture and all that, but one of the big major things that they play off with getting everyone to trust mainstream science is, if you follow the science, you're smart, you're educated.
Science is real.
And those conspiracy theorists are dumb, uneducated hillbillies, so you should make fun of them because you're superior to them.
Of course.
Yeah. And you see that always playing out. Like I have a friend who's he's deeply asleep. I don't know where his head is at. Obviously not the same planet. But he sends me memes all the time about, these Karens, ha ha ha, they're against masks and all that stuff. And I'm like, dude, wake up.
It's the way it works, though. It's they've been able to take over all the industries and all the publications and media outlets, and so it's a controlled system that doesn't question. I mean, it's the left-right game obviously played out, but again, with the left-right game, with what we've seen, even with people mentioning those doctors, the doctors who were pushing chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, for instance, right? The doctors, what were they called? Frontline doctors, right? They're part of the script as well, right?
Jeff, have you heard in Canada?
Yep, go ahead, please.
In Canada, there's the Great Barrington Act, I believe it's called. Have you heard of that?
It sounds familiar. You'd have to refresh me.
It's like 8,000 doctors got together, and they're all against, they're all against all the same things that we're against, and they're trying to bring that to the government and show that these are the medical experts that you don't hear about. And there's thousands and thousands of them that have signed on to this declaration, basically. Pledging that they agree with what this is and that the change that they think needs to be changed.
So they're against.
They have them here in America as well, and they keep pulling them down. They kept, and this is project. Yeah, this is all part of their plan. 201, Project 201. A month before this all kicked off, they were saying how they can. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. How Event 201, how they can guard against the mainstream, or us conspiracy. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Are you talking about Event 201? Of course, right?
Yeah, that's what she said.
So they were.
As I was like Project 201. There's a I wouldn't be surprised.
No, Event 201. I said.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so how they can curtail the conspiracy theorists. How they can take control of YouTube and Facebook and and Twitter, or Shitter, as you say, Jeff.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they have. Yeah, it's
and what they can do about it, and how they will, how they will control the narrative and the programming. I mean, and it's here. It's all here. It's all coming out.
Yeah, it's all happening.
I've got to ask you something, Jeff. Rumford here in the chat. He's been asking me about this game. Let's see, now I've lost his thread. I forget what he said. He's asking, have you heard about it?
Rumford Chimpenstein?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's asking about this game that that they've had. I'm sorry, Rumford.
The knockout game?
Yeah, the knockout game. I was way back in the chat. I've been trying to get in to ask you about it. I forgot. I got the ball.
Well, ask him again if he's there. Maybe he'll post it right now.
Yeah, maybe he will. Yeah.
What's the game there? I'll go to the chat here.
Yeah.
Say hello there.
Are you still there? I'm sorry. I finally got in. Harmony Square DH. Yeah, Harmony Square DHS game. DHS.
Harmony Square. Oh, okay. It's made by DHS.
That's what he wants you to talk about.
Wow. I know. I haven't checked that out. Harmony Square.
Yeah.
So
DHS
made
game.
by the DHS. Wow. No, I haven't heard about it. And Square, of course, you know. Not surprising. It's one of the main symbols that they've been using. Even with the, I was blown away because I covered it the other day. It was the Project Warp or Operation Warp Speed, and I hadn't, for whatever reason, when I covered it initially, I didn't catch the logo, but they actually had the Saturnic cube behind the freaking behind the Kobe. It's just like, whoa, like right in your face. Like they're not hiding. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Is that like some sort of game? Like I don't understand. Like,
I'm looking at it now. The Harmony Square game. It's like it looks like a 2-bit. Well, one of those like something bits there. They're like 1980 quality games there. Not sure what it's about. I'm still kind of looking at it, but apparently it's free. It's made by University of Cambridge and the Department of Homeland Security and a couple other these alphabet agencies.
And it's like become really popular all of a sudden. Helps build. Oh yeah, okay. So check this out. There's a article here. Harmony Square, the game that helps build resistance to fake news. Yeah, interesting. Wow. So like a board game or a video game that specifically is there to teach you how to not think for yourself.
I never thought I would see a day where Department of Homeland Security makes a video game.
Wow.
I've seen it all now.
I mean, the military has made games before, but I've never heard of the Department of Homeland Security doing it. I guess they were like, hey, you know, that's a good idea. Hey, how many of our New World Order symbols can we stick in there? And how obvious can we make the agenda of not having anyone think before somebody says, hey, this is off?
Yep. Sometimes I don't know if they do it purposely, or they obviously do to a certain extent, but some of these games, they push the boundaries, and then they push their woke. That's the video game realm that's full of all kinds of very unfit mentally and physically people, unfortunately, but they get all hung up on the woke culture coming into their games, and then that's the controversies that they surround. But the greater reality is that the gaming realm itself is all about control, hive mind programming, in my belief. And I would say, I'd say even board games and you know, like things that go viral are meant to go viral, and that you know, if something becomes super popular, there's a reason for it.
Jeff, speaking of video games going popular and predictive programming, have you heard of Cyberpunk 2077?
Cyberpunk 2077. Yes, I have.
It's supposed to be like the next crazy Grand Theft Auto. That's supposed to come out like.
So it's an open world. It's set in 2077 sort of thing.
Yeah, so it's got the whole David Icke bubble, as I call it. It's got the transhumanism. It's got the collapse of like human society. Anarchy, basically like how you picture if George Orwell was a video game, it would be this basically.
So like basically follow the trajectory that we're on. Yeah, there's a game that came out there was a British gaming manufacturing corporation, and I saw it. Somebody had sent it to me, I think maybe on Patreon or Twitter or something, and it was like this future dystopic Britain, like, or you know, London. I think it was set in London, and all the streets are rainbows, and everybody's on drugs, right? Yeah, it's insane, and it's like, whoa,
something like now, right?
Yeah,
Window,
it's,
Jeff.
I mean, seriously, I wake up and I'm like, you know, what's worse, a Black Mirror episode or living in the reality that we live in? I'd probably say yeah now, because like
He's not doing it anymore, right?
like there's a lot of Black Mirror episodes where there isn't complete tyranny happening. It's just pretty disturbing stuff, you know.
It's
but
the concept of the technology.
Yeah,
That's scary.
yeah.
Hey,
It's
Jeff,
about the demise
Yep.
of how technology could be used.
Go ahead, Will.
I was just gonna say, like, it's crazy what you say about like the and I'm completely on board with you, the whole battle royale thing.
Yep.
Because I play a bit of Warzone and stuff just with my mates for fun and all that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like even I see the conditioning in that. Have you like played it or looked at Warzone before or this?
The game Warzone? No, I
Yeah,
haven't.
well,
I
because
think
like
I've seen it.
it's well, obviously you know about the whole battle royale like concept and how yeah, it's crazy. Like I'm completely on board with you. The conditioning of people, sort of that survivor mentality, it just gets people angry and like, you know, and the conditioning is crazy from day one when Warzone came out. Like you're literally in like a post-apocalyptic city, and there's like World Health Council beds with like you know, showing that there's like an outbreak or something in the city. And I don't know, it's just crazy, all the conditioning and stuff. And one thing that I've noticed they're doing, right, because like I said, I just play a bit of Call of Duty with my friends and stuff. I don't take it too seriously, but like it used to be, it's just changed so much over the years. Because the old Call of Duty is like, it used to be its own whole separate game, and then the next one would come out, and then it was all different kind of thing. And it also used to take skill, like, you know, an actual thinking to a certain degree. Like I know you think games, you know, that whole point is to distract you and to create non-thinking people, but to an extent you had to critically think, and it was actually strategic and stuff. But over the years, especially over the last like 2 or 3 years, what Call of Duty's done, they're integrating them all together, and they're slowly removing all the things that required skill. So they're literally encouraging like just brainless, mind-numbing sort of experiences.
Yeah.
And the fact they're merging them all together, which I just look at this whole.
Have you seen that game?
Like,
have you seen the game The Fall Guys? I think it's called.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's like, people. It's total battle royale, and I have it because I got it for free. I have PlayStation. Right?
Yeah,
and I played it a few times. It's, you know, it's just not interesting to me at all. But it's like it's addictive to people, I guess. Is that you play this game where you just play this character? You have the most basic movements, like you can move in whatever direction, and you can shove and you can jump. That's all you can do.
And then the thing with that game as well is because it like when you talk about the whole what is it, like the like the childhood
suspended
thing.
childhood.
Yeah. Like because that's such a kiddish game.
Yeah.
Like I've got some of my mates are, you know, 23, 24, and they all just hop on straight after work, this and that, and they're just acting like little kids. And I'm like, you know, you look at that because it's all colorful and, you know, it's a kiddish game, you know. I do
think, like, I just want to say to the gamers out there, I do think that some games are very, you know, intellect based and are very demanding and like not like this idiocy that most people play. I think Nintendo kind of came and does that sort of thing. Like I'll give you an example, and I like the game, like Mario Kart, for instance, right? But it's made so that anybody can play it, right? It's like, it's not about skill, right?
Yeah,
because
arcade games.
Well, arcade games traditionally were very skill based. Like
Call of Duty used to be arcade. Well,
but like, you know, Donkey Kong and Pac-Man and stuff like that, like the original sort of arcade games were very difficult, and they involved memorization and quick reflexes and stuff like that. And I think now that most people play the games at home, the games are now about, we want to get everybody online all the time, and we want to dumb down the population, so we'll get them addicted. And what are the things that they do? Like so for the Fall Guys one is like, you get, I guess you get suits or costumes or something like that. That's one of the incentives to keep playing, so that you can unlock new features and stuff like that. And it's like the old Facebook endorphins going off in your brain. This is how the whole video game sort of realm works. It doesn't mean that video games have to, like, I played video games that require tremendous amounts of attention to detail and everything, and arguably you could say could make you more sharper intellectually just by playing them, albeit it takes a lot of your time and all those things. But the fact is that most of the games that are being made are about mass indoctrination into the New World Order, and also about suspended childhood and dumbing people down and pushing all their agendas, sort of thing. So, yeah.
I played The Last of Us 2. I remember you covered that a little while back.
Yeah, the Last of Us. Yeah, the game, the Crouch Man.
And it's a pretty good game. I have to say, it's funny. One of the scenes, it's about you would think in like a post-apocalyptic world, nothing is as it seems. But there's one of the characters is she's part of like this apocalyptic cult, I guess you could say, that lives on like caveman traditions.
Mm-hmm.
But she's actually a man who is like gender confused.
Yeah.
You know, it plays that role. Like, I wasn't sure if this was a man or a woman when I was playing the game, like this character that you're interacting with.
Yeah.
So, and I only kind of realized, like, after a couple, about an hour into it, I was like, okay, now it makes sense now. But yeah, I was kind of confused, and I was like, oh, well, there's your
that's how they do
programming.
it. Yeah, that's how I wanted to welcome Rachel. Welcome.
Do you want me to drop out, Jeff?
Yeah, somebody, if we could, because I want to get Tay back in.
Okay,
here.
I'll drop out.
Thank you so much. That's really kind of you. I
let me say this before I drop out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
now
please.
that I got the talking stick,
yeah.
I just want to shout out to my family.
Oh,
Jen,
nice.
Jen. Uncool, she's out there.
My Uncool VBF, Paranoia.
Yeah, Uncool Paranoia. And my VBF, Dawn, she's out there as well.
Awesome.
And we've got Patricia Gaylord and Sarah Kana.
Right on. Sarah Kana.
Yeah, Sarah Kana. These are all my fam from your group and everybody else that's in the chat. You're all our family. You know, we have to stick together because, when they do pull us down, we have to support each other, and we got to have a way of communicating.
Yeah. I've actually been thinking about that because I'm like I'm a techie type of dude. Mm-hmm. So like I kind of I've been thinking about that. I'm like, okay, well, if they pull down the internet, how would people keep like connected? Some people
Ravens.
Some people have suggested like ham radios to like at least some extent for local bulletin board systems, because there are actually people. Because, like I said, I keep up with all the nerdy stuff, but they're the people that keep the bulletin board systems alive.
Yeah.
And
get back into 1980s or early 1990s, prior to the internet. How did you, phone calls, if you can still do the phone call, but ham radios, walkie-talkies, bulletin boards. Morse code. No joke. Yeah, no joke. Like, seriously, learn it.
Smoke signals.
Learn it. Learn. Why not? I mean, like,
yeah, why not?
It could be life or death. I mean, I know Morse code is one of those really important ones, because if you ever are in a situation where you can't really speak, or people can't hear you, chances are you can make that type of communication. But that's a good point. And thank you so much, Suzanne, for being here and coming on the show. I really appreciate that. And awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. We love you. We love you, Jeff.
Oh, thanks.
And you're
I
doing
love you guys too.
Great service to everybody. And yeah. So okay, I'll be back.
Okay. All right.
I'll be back.
Take care. Sarah Connor.
Yeah. Right. Arnie.
All right.
Where's the girl from Melbourne? Moon Mother? Is that?
Yeah, I haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah, where's Moon Mother? She's the other one I wanted to shout out to. Sorry.
She's probably
can't get rid of me now.
Incarcerated.
Yeah, I'm really scared for her.
In what's his name? David Andrews' basement. He's got her locked up there. No, I'm joking. Of course not.
Scam Andrews.
If anybody hears from Moon Mother, tell her we're looking for her.
Absolutely.
We've got her on milk cartons.
I think they've lifted some of the restrictions there. Like I see a lot of people at the beach and maskless and stuff there, but who knows? It's only just a matter of time. A billion cases.
Yeah, but think about this is like we're probably going to see them do the same thing with Melbourne, the way that they did with China. Actually, I got into a little bit of a flame war with people the other day because I can't help it. The sheeple are making me really angry. So, like, I got into a big thing because they're like, some idiot was like saying, "Oh, well, the Melbourne thing that they've been doing is good because it got it down to 0 cases every day for the last 4 days." I'm like, yeah, people have died because they've died of starvation, they've lost their jobs,
depression, alcohol, suicide.
So I'm like, okay, explain to me how I don't care about human life, but you're saying that locking people in their house until they basically go crazy is a good thing. Can you explain the disconnect to me, please?
Yeah, exactly.
I was talking to someone that's like so asleep, and then I was like just saying, well, look, they're like taking our freedoms away, like all our rights and stuff. Oh yeah, well they don't care about your freedoms, obviously. So I'm like, well, if they don't care about your rights, then what makes you think they care about your health and safety? Like,
yep.
Like, and then, or no, they care about your. They get all defensive saying they care about your health and stuff, but then they agree with the fact that they don't care about your constitutional rights. So what? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, they sure as hell don't care about the elderly and the children. So what makes you think they're going to care about you? You know, it is like if they're doing this to kids, like little children, babies, and whatnot, and they're doing it to old people. I don't know how evil it is. I really can't compute it. It blows me away. Like when I covered that article the other day of Liverpool, where they're going in, they're going to test kids in school without parental consent, and then they're going to secure kids that test positive, and they're going to barcode them. I just I don't even know what to say at that point. It's like, wait a second. No, this isn't George Orwell. This I'm not reading 1984. This is 2020. It's really happening. And if people can't see how extreme it's gotten, I don't know what to say. Right? It's going to be too late pretty soon for a lot of people if people don't start to stand up to what's happening.
Yeah, and it's like what I was saying earlier, like because I say this to people all the time, and I think Suzanne, I told this story to Suzanne, but I've actually had to face the possibility of dying a couple of times in my life, and I'll tell you what. Anybody that's actually faced their mortality and really had to sit there and think about their life like that would not want these measures. So I just get so I get so angry at these crisis actors because I'm like, if you almost died, you would not be having this conversation with the news right now.
Wheels, they don't exist. They don't. There's no such thing as crisis.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, fine. These people.
You have been listening to Jeff C. That's a problem. We're gonna have to come and stick you in re-education camp here.
Okay. Do I have to get a couple? I'll have to hire some able-bodied people to smack my head with a mallet.
Yeah, that's it. Get a couple people to hold the mallet and just bring it down about 500 times a day.
Yeah,
then you'll be ready. You'll be on CNN. I wanted to say though, I just want to say because Rachel came in, hasn't had a chance to say anything. I know Tay was here earlier, but Rachel, can you? Are you there? Do you want to say?
Yes, I'm here. I would like to ask people if they've noticed something. I don't know if anyone is familiar with Mark Passio, but he had stated that as far as like the satanic is a time period called the what is it? Season of Sacrifice that goes from March 21st to May 1st. Yeah. And of course, we had our lockdown start on March 12th, March 13th, and there were 4 significant things that happened that I noticed that were markers that I don't hear very many people talking about. Of course, they're talking about HR. I feel so stupid even saying it. You know, HR 6666.
Yeah.
Which was at the culmination of that season of sacrifice on May 1st. But I was just looking it up on, I believe it was March 24th, Microsoft came out with this patent. It has 060606 in it.
Yeah. Remember that? Yeah, I covered it.
And then Marina Abramovich.
Yes, they did that as well.
Yeah, this happened really fast, like within one day.
Yeah.
When Microsoft was sponsoring her for some goggle type of installation art piece.
They took that video down, by the way.
Oh yeah, they took it down because people responded so quickly, just freaking out over it. Yeah. And then was the Melinda Gates. She did that interview with that pink shirt on, wearing an upside down cross.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's just like,
these people are Satanists. I've no doubt about it. And Mark would know that because he was a former Satanist, so he understands a lot of the symbols and the. I mean, he did. I think he did 10 years as some priest in the Satanic Church, so he understands this stuff acutely. So if he's saying that's what's going on, and again, we know that. Yeah, I mean, I covered the Marina Abramovich Microsoft thing, the patent that you talked about, the 0666 whatever, and then the HR 6666. You know,
well, you get the Democratic Party text Joe at 30330.
Yeah, exactly, means, right? Exactly. That as well, and it's all over. Yeah, it's so crazy because it would sound so far-fetched to an average person that these people are part of some satanic sort of cult, right? But it's so clear as day if you just look at
obvious.
Yeah.
Where's the Christians when you need them?
Well, that's it. Well, I mean,
they're busy like going to the churches that are state funded that tell you to comply with the government and all that. Yeah. I was actually in like a Christian Zionist church for a while. It was actually like what started my awakening. But like I went to the Christian Zionist church, and you had them always talking about how the end times were coming and stuff, and you just gotta let it happen because it's it's God's plan.
They do,
and you
push
gotta
that.
give it, and you gotta give to Caesar what's Caesar's, and you gotta give to God what's God. And I'm like, okay, well, I've read a fair bit of the Bible. You really think that Jesus wants you to comply with all the evil? Assuming, like, what are you talking about?
They want you to.
He actually had to disobey authorities in order to be sent to the cross.
Exactly.
Yes,
and then they're saying, "Oh, we have to obey authorities and stuff." Like, well, like
he chased the money changers out of the temple.
That's right.
He exposed the Pharisees.
Most of the stuff where they say that you got to obey, like Romans 13. First of all, it's mistranslated. Mm-hmm. They're using dunamis power there when the word is actually exousia. So I went to school for this stuff. I was in ministry. It's a complete and utter lie, and it's to keep Christians under the thumb of the government. Because if Christians fought back, it would be massive.
Yeah, it would be over.
So that's why they do it. And it's pulpit puke. And they spew it all over their congregation, and they know that they're lying. They know the truth.
Well, Twaddle got pretty upset about that one of the last episodes we did because he was saying that the Christians who are saying, "Don't worry, Jesus is coming. Just accept it. It's the end of times." And you're giving in. And again, I think that's and they push that a lot. All right, so if you're listening to this, everyone that's listening to this. There is a form of gaslighting, or maybe learned helplessness would be a better way of.
Well, Jesus is love, right? So sit down and let them do whatever they want to.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that there is a form of say learned helplessness that is being programmed into Christians right
it's like,
now.
QAnon, trust the plan.
Yeah, exactly the same. But except with QAnon, it's like a false promise that. Good deeds are going to be done down the road as long as you comply. Whereas, and with the Christian sort of, it's the end of times. Don't worry about anything. Just get right with Jesus. You're allowing whatever they're doing, and they want that, so they push that massively around these circles and Christian circles and all that because they want people to not fight what they're doing.
Yeah, right. To absolutely comply, like Romans 13 says,
Yeah.
the way it's written, and it's a complete lie. The way they have translated that. We have sola scriptura. You just got to go back to the transmissions, and not all these translations. There's huge problems with these translations, and these churches absolutely know it. These pastors know it, and I know this from going to school, listening to them teach this, and then getting up on the pulpit and teaching it the way that it's translated. And it made me sick to my stomach. Jesus, listen, he was the epitome of a man. He didn't run around in a rainbow dress. Stop making Jesus into a fairy.
Jesus loves gays.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. Yeah. I mean, I've had so many arguments. Another thing they do is to keep Christians involved in politics. How do they do that? Roe v. Right? Roe v. is a psyop, I think, especially made for Christians. You are never going to get rid of Roe v. Wade. Never. Never going to happen. It's actually gotten worse. Look what they did in New York. You know, that they're offing newborn full-term babies there. I don't know if you know about that, Jeff.
They're what? Sorry.
Oh, so Planned PPH.
Oh yeah, Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, so they passed the Women Reproductive Act there with I can't even make it up. I think her name is Nancy Tran, right?
Good Lord, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, so they passed the Women Reproductive Act, and what that says is a woman can give birth to a full-term baby and then decide she don't want that baby and they off it. And Cuomo, you can look this up, lit up, I think it was 6 buildings. It might have been 7, but I think 6 in adrenochrome pink, the One World Trade Center, to celebrate this. And that's what you saw on the Super Bowl halftime show. That's why J-Lo came up out of the floor in the pink dress on top of the One World Trade Center.
Yeah. It's all rituals all the time.
Well, that was a blood sacrifice. That was sick.
Yeah. Like they do it right in your faces, and it's all. And again, you know, they're not hiding anymore. They're not doing it in the shadows. They're coming right out, and they're doing it in our faces because they feel confident that nothing's going to stop what they've got. And the more that people give into it, the more that people just roll over and say, "Oh no, there's nothing we can do." That's exactly what they want. They don't want you to stand up. They don't want you to fight. They're banking on people not fighting. Christians need to realize this, that you all have to stand up. You can't Jesus would never want you just to, oh, it's okay, there's nothing we can do, you know, just get right with the Lord.
Turn the other cheek, right? And that's not what he did.
No.
When the Pharisees and the Sadducees came up to him, he lost his shit on them. He said, "You're dead man's bones inside a whitewashed tombs. You're of your father, the devil." Those were their leaders of that time. And he told them off. He picked up a whip, and this wasn't a little pony whip. This is cat and nine tails. And whipped people. He didn't take any shit. And, you know, this turn the other cheek thing is like sticks and stones may break my bones. You know, it's just the way they teach it. You know, if someone says something shitty to you, just walk away. You know what I mean? Like,
no, you gotta stand up. Everyone needs to stand up. People need to fight against what's happening. It's so important. And, you know, it's the only way that we're ever going to have a chance is if enough people do stand up and just, you know, defend their rights and defend themselves, their bodies, their children, their neighborhoods, their communities and everything. And it's sad to see that they've managed to take it this far. I'm just hoping that they're pushing it too far too quickly and it's going to snap back, that there's going to be a massive amount of people waking up right now.
David Icke has a term for that. He calls it the totalitarian tiptoe, which means that you know you're going at a certain step to get to the next alphabet.
Yeah.
But you don't want to do it too fast so that people don't realize what you're doing. You want to take it slow enough so that people will still stay brainwashed. They don't know what's going on. Slowly but surely, step by step, you're getting closer and closer to achieving what you want to achieve. I mean, what's scary is this can be used. This term can be used for anything in life. You know, it doesn't have to be globalist elites. It can be whatever your dreams are. Essentially, it's just taking everything step by step, but you know, to a whole other level.
Yeah. Incrementally, they're just tightening the screws, and so that's what's happening there. gonna try to get you in. There's JS. So we're gonna try. Anybody ready to jump out here? We don't have too much longer to go. I want to get JS in here.
I'll jump out, but I wanted to say something first.
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
So I'm still trying to track down this clip. Stupidly, I didn't record it because I was kind of in a rush that morning. But I was watching CBS the other day. I was watching, for some reason, a family member had the morning news on, and there was a senior in high school, I believe it was in Toronto, and she was saying about how, oh, well, you know, it's been hard to adjust to online education, and now, you know, I believe that this is going to transform our world and transform the way that we learn and all this stuff. And I'm just like, I looked at my dad and I said, you realize how awful this propaganda is. Do you know what they mean when they say transform our world? I tried to explain, like, cause, you know, my parents are, very, like, I don't know, they vacillate between, like, waking up, I think they're gonna wake up, and then they fall back asleep, sort of, and I'm like,
Yeah.
So I keep trying to point this stuff out to them, and I don't know, just, it was such awful propaganda. I don't know how anybody sits through the news in the morning. I can't without feeling like I want to ram my wheelchair into the TV until it breaks.
Well, anyways, thank you so much, Hell on Wheels, for being here, and I really appreciate it. It's always great to have you on, and yeah, man, thanks a lot. Have a great night, and yeah, I'm going to bring you in there, JS. Hang on a sec here.
Wait.
To get you.
Hey, Jess, I might head in a sec as well. I feel kind of bad for sticking around for ages, but.
Oh no, you can stay I mean, it's only going to go a little bit longer here. I was supposed to get off at 10:30, but I wanted to make sure that everyone got in and had a chance to come on the show. And I know JS has been posting a lot of great stuff, especially on the community tab on Patreon. So it's great to have her here on the show. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you
I'm
great.
really nervous.
Oh, no worries. Did you have anything on your mind? I mean, you said you just kind of jumped in, so you haven't been listening to the conversation, but is there anything that you've been, you know, chomping at the bit to have a say about that's been going down?
I don't know. I know it's been tough on our end. Like, we've been doing no masks, and I'm sure you guys have been talking about that too. So I think my kids are the only ones in my class that I'm from Canada. Yeah.
Are you in the east or west or?
Alberta.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's interesting. Alberta, because I don't really see the narrative now, as far as I can see. You'll have to correct me on this, but most of the game has been played out here in Quebec and Ontario, and it seems like now, all of a sudden, well, British Columbia and Alberta seem now all of a sudden.
All red.
Yeah, you guys are entering the red zone. Are you going to join us in the red zone?
So is it pretty much all of Canada that's been affected? Like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean,
yeah, JS is Alberta now all of a sudden starting to do the lockdowns as well?
Yeah, they're talking about that. Yeah, absolutely. I know for us, like, our city has been having that mask policy, so a lot of people travel to like other towns. I know if I want to take my kids to a play area, I'll take them to like a smaller town.
Yeah.
But now they're hitting the smaller towns with the mask mandates. So
yeah,
it's been a little bit harder. But
I saw an article today. Get this. It was off the MTL blog, so I'll show it next time I do the live show. And it said red zoners are flocking to the Laurentians. So red zoners
That's funny.
are, you know, the people in the red zones. So now we are red zoners, and if we flock to another area to escape the red zone, we are now an invading sort of force that needs to be dealt with. And so what they were saying is that the Laurentian, which is like a beautiful area here in Quebec where there's all ski hills and all that, it's really, really lovely cottages and all that. They're saying now they're demanding the police, the SQ, set up roadblocks.
Oh,
It's like,
jeez.
You know, Jeff. It's funny. I've been going for the past couple weekends. I go hunting in Eastern Townships at one of our family members' cottages.
Yeah.
And every time I go there, like every weekend that I'd go there, me and my buddy, we'd have lunch at one of the restaurants that are in that town, and just you feel like you get a little bit of a humanity back. You know, sit down, have a nice warm meal cooked in a small town where everyone's friendly and you're welcome. And then I come back to Montreal, and there's none of that. There's no restaurants. There's none of that. You come back and like you're lucky if you get takeout.
yeah, that's the only thing that's really flying is the whole takeout thing, which is all setting up for the elimination of grocery shopping and people making their own meals, because that's where they're taking. That's one. So many different things.
Plant-based burgers.
What's that?
Plant-based burgers.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, we got in Canada Copper Branch. I'm not sure if you Jeff or JS, if you guys have heard of that Copper Ranch. It's a vegan restaurant. It's like fast food.
I haven't, no.
No, it's actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not a fan of the vegan stuff, but it's.
Are you
it's not
Canadian, John?
Yeah, I'm from Montreal.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Nice. I think my kids are the only ones in their school that don't wear a mask. So
yeah,
are they being targeted for not wearing a mask?
I think so. The first few days, I was super paranoid dropping them off and picking them up. I did get quite a few stares from the teachers, so I'm pretty sure his teacher drinks the Kool-Aid. So she's.
Do you have some sort of exemption for them, or is it?
I do. Yeah, I did. I did get a doctor's note for each of them before they went in. But I feel like now people are more comfortable. I feel like the kids ask them a lot too. A lot of the kids are like, "Where's your mask?" And some of them will be like, "I wish. How come you don't get to wear a mask?" And I don't want to wear a mask. But there's a lot of kids that are afraid, and even his teacher is like, "You need to stay away. I don't feel safe." So, like, he does get that, and it sucks because then my kids are, they feel like lepers and they get excluded, and even in music class, like they're not allowed to sing because it goes against the rules. So.
I find that like just the whole. I heard Joe Rogan freaking out about that, and the guy's just a lamentable shill. But he couldn't get over the fact that they were banning singing, and it is so diabolical because it kills the human spirit by banning singing. And I remember when they first started doing it. I believe it was Ontario, and I freaked out when they said that there's no longer public singing allowed, and so they banned all performances in all churches from, singing hymns or anything, any choirs, from people performing live, musicians, singers and stuff. And it's just so evil because singing is one of those things that lifts the human spirit like nothing else, right? It's like it's something that when you get together, when you do it with other people, it just lifts your spirit, and it's so essential, and it can be an incredible sort of elixir for people who are suffering from depression or loneliness and stuff like that, just to get together, be able to sing, and the government doing this and banning this stuff and just making it impossible in every way, shape, and form is so evil, because it's like they're not only just restricting all your movements and forcing you to wear a mask and all this, but they're taking away all your joy. Like they are literally taking the things that make us human and give us spirit and souls and all these things. They're crushing our souls with their tyranny, and then they're saying, you got to comply. And again, Grace put out the video. I don't know if you guys got a chance to catch it, but she made a great point, because, of course, when they came out, they said 2 weeks. We were asking people to hunker down for 2 weeks so that we can get over the hump, sort of thing. Well, 6+ months later, it's full on, and there's no sign of any other than the vaccines, of course, that they're dangling like a carrot now ahead. And, of course, that leads to a whole new set of tyranny, because then they're going to make it mandatory and then compulsory for people to function within society. So they're going to restrict all your like, for example, your ability to sing. You won't be allowed to sing unless you got the COVID pass. right? You won't be allowed to open your mouth. You might not even be allowed to speak.
It reminds me of Footloose, but like the singing version.
Yeah, yeah. Like
interestingly too is the whole book of Psalms is songs. You know what I mean? That whole book was songs. They sang those in the Bible. So I find that interesting.
But so what are you saying? Who sang?
So the book of Psalms in the
Yep.
Bible, that whole book was songs. They sang that. The entire book of Psalms.
Yeah. And this is like another thing too, like just killing the spirit. Like, because religion is community, right? It's like for so many people, that's the community, right? You're Christian. You go to the church on Sunday. You see all the people in your neighborhood. This is where you congregate. This is where you build relationships and all that. And singing is a way of bonding people together. And so, it's just more deconstruction of everyday sort of things that, again, just wearing a mask is taking away your identity, taking away your personality, taking away your smile, your face, eyes without a face, got no human race. That's the reality that they have forced upon us. So they dehumanize us. They take away all our abilities to communicate with each other. They forbid us from congregating. They forbid us from singing. I've never seen, like, I always say I'm blown away by how tyrannical and how evil this all is, because it's like I don't see any justification. As I've said many times before, what's the point of having rights, right? Like, to me, there's no point. If the government can just say, nah, sorry, you had rights before, but nah, now it's totalitarianism because, we got this thing, so therefore, right? Then you don't have rights, because if they can just wave them away, what's the point?
It kills me. Oh, sorry. It just kills me here because there's not even a mask mandate, and it just kills me when I see people wearing masks here. Like,
we have it here, the Communist Welcome, Massachusetts. We got statewide mask mandated last week, and curfews. Not just restaurants, everybody.
Isn't Biden making it like just mandatory right across the whole nation, sort of thing? Isn't that what he said?
Well, I think that's what he said. I think that was earlier today. He said that.
But he probably doesn't have that power, right?
No, he doesn't have the power. He hasn't actually. If you see, my thing is, I think this is my theory. I don't think he'll be president here. I think they're gonna pull this rug out from underneath them, and these people, this left. Listen, I don't vote for either one of them. I don't believe in any of it. But they're going to pull this rug out from underneath them, and shit is going to hit the fan. Because if you go to, what is it called? Real Clear Politics, they stripped him of the electoral votes in Pennsylvania. And stripped him of the president-elect. And there's still some gray states out there that they haven't given the numbers to.
I think they're going to play that whole thing out. And it's going to fragment the nation eventually, because
and then they'll kill Trump. So that
I can see that too. I kind of predicted that their assassination would be a likely scenario.
They'll take it from Biden and say no. So these people are going to go absolutely batshit crazy, and then they'll kill Trump. I just when he said, this is when I left YouTube for that time. But when he said he was going to be a candidate, Chris was sitting on the couch and I was laughing my ass off. I said, who the hell is going to vote for Donald Trump? And then as I was walking away, I go, and even if he got in, they'd kill him or fake kill him or whatever, because it's just a show. It's just such a show. But before I get off to, I want to tell you one more thing. I don't know if you know about this, which is very interesting about these lockdowns. And, Trump sending out the military. Listen, the military isn't being sent out to give you, whether it's placebo or not, to the willing. It's for the unwilling. They would never implement the military to do something for the willing. It just wouldn't happen. My husband's a Marine, you know what I mean? Former combat Marine. But in July of 2019, Mr. Billy Boy, Billy Gates, and his foundation bought 200,000 shares in a UK company. It's called Let me tell you the name of it. If this is in Bloomberg, you can go find it.
Yeah.
He bought in the UK company called Circo.
Circo. Oh yeah.
Yes, which is prison, right? They have a big thing in prison.
Oh,
And
they're the biggest corporation nobody's ever heard of.
right, and one of the main things they make is home confinement bracelets.
Yep. Yep.
So-
The ankle bracelets and all that.
Yep.
And Circo, they actually, they're an extremely powerful corporation that are involved in so many forms of surveillance and governance and schooling and licensing and like they control the air traffic,
Aren't they the
control their
ones that are
towers.
burdened up for Obamacare?
Pardon me?
They're
They-
partnered with Obamacare. That
Yeah.
ties to them. And they
Yeah,
get money from them, like $1 billion.
They're arguably the most powerful corporation in the world, and they kind of operate behind the scenes, and most people have never heard of them, sort of thing. So I've covered them several times in the past, so I'm not surprised. In fact, a lot of people would say Circle played a big role in 9/11, for instance. But it's crazy. Yeah, all these things. In fact, I don't know if it was Hal or whoever said it before. Like keeping an eye on, or no, it was John who was saying, keeping an eye on stocks and stuff like that, right? The stock market, keeping an eye on insider trading, of course. In fact, insider trading would tell you so much. It told us so much about 9/11. It tells us so much about this whole event because look at the richest people in the world made more money than anyone's ever made in the history of the world. Like
What's that company called again? Sorry.
Circo.
Circo or
it's SERCO. Circo.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I might look into that.
Their slogan, if I can recall, is "We bring service to life." Which
to lifers, maybe.
Yeah, I thought about that as like slavery kind of thing. We bring service to life.
Slavery.
Yeah, and they have the red circle symbol as well, if I'm not mistaken, which you see over and over again with all these New World Order organizations, like TEDx, for instance, and so many others. But yeah,
You were saying they're good, but I'm looking at their stock now, and they're collapsed like almost 75% from their highs.
They've had a collapse in their stock. You're saying?
Massive. I mean, like I'm looking at their long term, the past, their history of the past couple decades. And their high was about $500 a share.
Yep.
And now they're looking at 113. If it's the right one that I'm looking at, the Circle on the London Exchange.
Yeah, that'd probably be it. Yeah, it would be. Yeah. That's interesting.
Circo Group, LC or something like that. That's what it's under.
Yeah, I would say the power in a corporation like Circo isn't in their stock; it's in what they control.
It's in their CEOs and their board of directors.
Well, it's what they control, right? Like if they control every aircraft tower in Australia, if they control Greenwich Mean Wich Time, if they control the like for instance the ballistic nuclear system of the UK. Like that's the power of Circle. They control the driver's license bureau in Ontario. Like these are just things I'm pulling out of my memory because probably the last time I covered Circle was like 2013 or something.
Yeah, they own the canteens too.
Yeah, so like some of these corporations that you don't hear about, just like some of these entities, like you hear about Bill Gates, you hear about the major players, but there's a lot of other ones that are behind the scenes that are actually probably more impactful and potentially more dangerous. And a lot of these corporations are obviously all working together to bring about the same sort of desired outcome, which we know is their New World Order. So.
Speaking of companies, sorry. Just real quick.
Will, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say real quick, like, because it's you look at Coca-Cola, like, and then you look at all the Sprite and the Fanta and everything, and in the bottom, it literally all is owned by Coca-Cola company, like everything. Like all the drinks, like all these other things
it's the illusion of choice, right? Because like you go in and just store and you think,
well, Coke are different.
You drink Coke, I drink Sprite. Like no, you're drinking the same corporation and the same chemicals, basically. So.
And I think like there's also Unilever or whatever.
Yeah, Unilever.
They own like so many things you wouldn't even think of.
Yep. All the much of what you would see in your grocer. Right, and then all the cleaning products and all that stuff, and there's Proctology and Gamble, who are making
Yeah, Johnson and Johnson. I don't know if they own anything or they're owned by Unilever.
Johnson
I
and
can't
Johnson
remember.
too are one of the major corporations producing vaccines for this. So they're also
They should just stick to making baby soap.
well, the image of a corporation, often that's the image you have because people think Johnson and Johnson and think the shampoo that doesn't hurt the babies or something, right? Like, and that the reality is like a lot of these corporations, like we mentioned before, Agent Orange, right? Like Monsanto and
I'm
corporations
pretty
like
sure
Bayer.
that Johnson Johnson's getting sued for because their baby powder causes cancer, among other things. Like they put crap in everything, right? Like that sodium lauryl sulfate.
My mom, you're right. They did get sued, and that was a while back. My mom, Jeff, remember my sister passed away of cancer, and a few years ago, and my mom blames herself because she used to put all that powder on her. And I'm like, Mom, it's not your fault. And I had a tumor too that was removed. It was caught in time, and it was the same type of thing, but mine was caught on time, and hers wasn't. And so my mom blames herself for putting that on us as children.
There's no way she could be blamed for that. Like,
and my mom, she's so sensitive. I'm like, no, Mom, it's okay. You didn't cause that. That's their bad. If that's what caused that in us, then that's their bad. They knew it was bad and still sold it to you.
Oh yeah, over and over again, you look at the history of these corporations, it'll blow your mind at how many evil, horrible things and how many people have died because of their poisoning or what they've done. And this is one of the reasons why they've gone through great extents to eliminate any liability for their vaccines, right? Which is coming forth. And this tells you everything. I mean, if a corporation can't stand by its product, right? I mean, you'd expect that. You buy a refrigerator, right? You expect the corporation that sold you the refrigerator that you're going to get a certain amount of use out of it, and it's not going to break down after a couple of weeks. Well, you get a vaccine, you'd expect, well, that's not going to kill me, right? Or it's not going to make me infertile or give me cancer. No, actually, no, you can't go after them because, we've rigged the whole system now. So
I don't get how people don't see that.
Well, because they're too busy looking at the Kardashians or whatever CNN and
their answer back
shitter
is
and
free though.
I gave up on celebrities a long time ago.
Well, it's all like the media itself is a mass distraction, right? Because like if the media was really about we're going to show you what's going on, right? Or we're going to dig up dirt on this corporation or that corporation and help you, that's not at all the case. It doesn't work that way. In fact, it's happened over and over again where corporations have used their weight to prevent information from coming out in the media because the media say like something like McDonald's, for instance, right? The New York Times not going to put out articles that are smashing McDonald's if McDonald's is spending millions of dollars of advertising within the New York Times. It's just to give an example. I'm not saying that that's the case, but that's the way often it works, period. Just we know the media is completely controlled. And unfortunately, here we go. We're going to put our trust in Big Pharma going forward. These corporations and corporations like Moderna, John mentioned that before. Their stock going through the roof, and they've basically done nothing, and yet now they're making record profits because they're one of the tapped corporations to produce a vaccine, right? So they got all this press and Bill Gates funding and everything else. It's pretty crazy what's going on. And I'm very concerned because we're getting to that point. I think the next the end of this year, like there's a lot of talk swirling around that vaccinations will be available by the end of this year, sort of thing. And you could see that they'll use the Christmas time. Don't you want to spend Christmas with your family? Kind of thing, right? Let's get the vaccines out. Also, I've paying attention to the pro sports, and they're all kicking up, it seems, in January. So they're probably been told, oh, this is probably going to play out like this. And then what I anticipate is that the vaccines will come. It won't be mandatory in all places. Some places it will. Europe and a lot of places it will. But in North America, it'll probably be like they'll vaccinate people and then they'll give them a pass, and the pass will enable them to go. I mean, right?
It's
I'm
like
not
the Ticketmaster thing.
Yeah, just like the Ticketmaster.
And
like you
I'm
won't.
thinking when Super Bowl comes, and
Yeah.
they're ready to fill up that stadium.
Yeah!
You're not going to get in unless you got your pass.
That's the 33rd. That's the February the 2nd or whatever, right? So it's the 33rd.
Yeah.
That's the and again, the Super Bowl is that's a very important date for a lot of their rituals. And so yeah, you could see that. You could see that we're going to have the Super Bowl this year, and it's going to be packed, right? And it'll be all people with the COVID pass sort of thing, and then they'll make it
Probably
like
still be wearing masks.
yeah, they'll make it trendy. They'll give you a special like gleaming sort of ID or something, right? Before they give you the quantum
You'll have
dot
a fancy
tattoo.
chip in your hand.
Yeah, and then you'll be like, I got the COVID pass. I can go anywhere. And again, what they showed, and I showed this way back, I showed it in China, right? For instance, that they had these zones. And so in Wuhan, for instance, you go through checkpoint after checkpoint after checkpoint. You're constantly being scanned. And you have the 5-color system, the same 9/11 system that they use, right? The green, yellow, orange, red, and whatever, right? Like the different color system. And if you're green, you have access to pretty much everything. But if you're in the yellow or one of the lower tiers, you only get access to certain areas, right? So this is how it's probably going to play out, how we're going to see it. And they're going to be mass conformity because people will be so desperate. Like, first of all, businesses will be desperate to get their businesses going. Restaurants will be desperate, absolutely desperate to have, their restaurants filled and start making money again. So the incentive, they've purposely made this so grueling for everyone, especially most of these industries that are on the verge of collapse or have already collapsed in many ways, that everyone's going to be, just give me the freaking vaccine so I can get on a plane and go to Spain or whatever, right? Like it's all going to play out.
Well, we got a
likely.
little taste of it at the beginning in the summer with you go to the restaurant, you have to like, what's your name, what's your phone number, what's your birthday?
They're doing that here. Absolutely. You saw it, eh, John? I've seen a bunch of businesses here. They asked me, and I laughed my ass off. I laughed so hard, everybody turned around. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? I'm not going to give you my name. I'll give frig you. Yeah, go ahead, Rachel.
I'm just curious about like you personally, or where do you see yourself drawing the line? I saw Randy Hillier have a gathering of 155 people or so, and he was explaining that when you have a civil demonstration like that, people have to be prepared to take the consequences.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like seriously feeling worried about how harshly are they going to punish people for refusing to comply.
Well, 1984 put it in a good way. If you want to picture what that's going to look like, picture someone with their foot on your head forever.
Yeah, that's 1984. Yeah. I think that, I don't know, like personally, I'm not going to partake in their system. So, I think that people have to, start to realize that, their system, the way it goes. That's why I said I'm done with pro sports. I'm done with the movies. I'm done with that stuff. I'm done. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to partake in their system. I'm not going to get their COVID pass. I'm not going to get their vaccinations. So,
so targeted.
Yeah. Yes. Big time. All right. But I mean, you got to fight. I mean, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's been targeted for like 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the target's already there, Jeff. I don't know.
I'm new to Jeff. I just found him a couple days ago, and I'm so grateful.
He's lovely. He's lovely.
The Canadians are amazing. I had no idea how bad it was up there, and then I heard about the internment camps from what's her face, and I'm just horrified daily, incrementally, hugely, exponentially horrified every day.
Yeah. But again, don't let the fear control you. Try to, I'm trying to say to people, I know it's hard to say, it's easier to say than do, but be the change you want to see and stand up for your rights and fight, don't take this lying down and spread information, spread awareness, do anything you can. I mean, we were talking about getting old school. Well, we mentioned bulletin boards before. Post information. I know Camille makes cards and gives them out in public and stuff like that, right? Like, there's all kinds of things that you can do if you put your mind to it that will fight against this. And if we just get enough people, it doesn't take. It's never like doesn't take 51% of the population to stand up to bring about change. It's usually, 5 or 10% of a determined
if
group.
I can chime in on that.
Yep.
It's funny because on my Facebook I'm in a couple groups for service dogs, and I see like some of the members and they talk about each other and about going into like buildings and stores and whatnot with their dog. And a lot of them, what happens is if they go into like a venue and the owners are like, no, you can't come in with your dog, and they're like, well, I got a permit, I got permission, I got a doctor's note, I got this, I got that. The owner's like, no, I don't want no dogs in here. What happens is these people who, they have a disability, they have a permit for their dog, they'll go on Facebook and they'll just shame the shit out of these businesses.
Yeah.
And all their group members will go on like bash the restaurant hardcore. It goes from like a 4.5 to like a 2.
Yeah.
And
That's a Yelp.
I'm thinking in my head like these mask exemption laws are so vague that if it gives me anxiety, I can claim that as a disability and not wear it, technically speaking.
Yeah.
If you look at like what the charter says, it's very, very vague. So if people really want to get together and make a huge impact on this and really voice their opinion in a legal, logical way, they can just make one giant anti-mask group like Canada's not Canada's anti-mask, but like Canada's mask exemption group, where everyone who's essentially anti-mask because they're against it for whatever reason, it causes breathing issues, causes anxiety, which are all technically legal medical reasons. They can join this group, and if they go to the gas station, they go to a restaurant, or they go to the bank, they go wherever, and something happens where they have their little pin or they have their little pass, and it says that they're exempt, but the store manager, the store owner, or the store employee, I'm sure you get this all the time every time you go somewhere, where they shit on them and they say, no, you can't come in. Oh, but I'm disabled. I have a mask exemption. It stops me from breathing. It causes anxiety. Like all these reasonable reasons.
Legally, you're not allowed to ask. Like they're not allowed to ask you.
Not allowed to ask.
But also that if they deny you entry, that's also illegal because that's against. Well, and I know where we live, like that's against our bylaws. So
know your bylaws, know your constitutional rights, know the Charter of Freedom. I mean, know these things inside out, and then you can school. Again, most of the meatheads that they're going to get to stand at the door, and I've been dealing with them. I do the fake frickin' sanitizing thing, and I've been, I've got it down. But the thing is that it's all a crowd sort of mob mentality psychology that they're employing here, where they're getting the masses to be the police,
to shame the people.
Yeah. So and that is unfortunately, that's very evil. I mean, what they're doing? So I'm just glad to hear with you, JS, that you are actually, not complying, and that your kids. I mean, I know it's hard for them, but you're making a stand. You're standing against the grain, and that takes a lot of courage. So,
the tough thing is like, if we're going into a store and there's more than one, like I can get away with if I'm going by myself. But then when there's a whole flock of us coming in, right, you just get looks. And sometimes I'll wear it up to here, and I just don't want to deal with anybody that day. I've had people come and tell me to put my mask up, and I'm like, no, and I just turn into like, you better wake your ass up. And, and other days I'm like, I just don't want to deal with anybody. I just want to get my stuff and leave, right? So
when you think about it, why like going to the store, going to the bakery, going to the grocery was never a stressful thing. I mean, why would it be stressful? Like it's stressful because of other reasons, right? It's not stressful because you're going in there, right? It's like unless you had some X-Flame or something behind the butcher counter or whatever, right? I mean, you're not going to go into a store and think, this is stressful for me. But now, 2020, now, everywhere you go, you're either complying or you're going to be, singled out, sort of thing. And that's That just shows you, right? So it takes a
And
lot
I
of
feel
courage.
like it depends on who's walking. Like if there's an older gentleman and he goes in without a mask, you know, I feel like people are more understanding. But when it's a younger person, or, you know, me with kids,
True,
because of
yeah.
the way that the brainwashing, you know, has ensued, they're going to look at you and think, oh, you're just some selfish person, right? That doesn't give a shit about anybody else. So that's tough
Because
in that
people
way.
don't take the mask exemption seriously. Like you tell them, I have mask exemption. They look at you like you're an idiot. But it's like I said, the same thing with the service dog analogy, where if you have your dog and you have the vest on and you have a doctor's note, people are going to still say the same thing. Oh, you have your dog, and you're not supposed to have your dog here. You're just doing it for fun. But how do they know if you actually have a problem or if you don't? You know, what a selfish thing for someone to say, whether it's for the the mask exemption for the service dog, just to say, oh, well, I don't believe that you're disabled. I don't believe that you should be allowed to do this. And the sad reality
Since
is, like,
when is it your business, right? Like,
exactly.
like when have we ever been in a situation where you felt like, oh, somebody's not complying, right? I better single them out, right?
Yeah,
Like
in this
even
case, it's like you can't. It's not like to you your opinion and to me mine, because the way that they've manipulated everybody, it's like it's all or nothing.
exactly.
So,
You think about it. Like I'll give an example. Say no shirt, no service. Let's say you go in a convenience store, you know, circa 19 or 2017 or something, right? Let's say before all this stuff went down. If you saw somebody like a guy without a shirt on go into a corner store, say for instance, are you going to go and say, hey, you know, buddy, see the sign? You know, like no, most people wouldn't bother, wouldn't care. But because of the mental manipulation of the mob into this mass psychosis in which, you know, if people don't comply, and I've had this with friends and family where I talked to them and they're like, you know, I had a family member who said, oh, you know, all you got to do is put on your mask. You know, I was at the mall the other day and there was a family without mask and everybody was getting stressed out about it. And I was like, good for them. You know, like you people are the problem. You're the problem because you refuse to think for yourselves. You have been so mentally manipulated that you have become this blunt force of tyranny. Like you don't even realize. Like it'd be one thing if you're just going to put on your stupid mask and act like a clown like they want you to do, but it's another thing to step out of your way and go and confront somebody who isn't conforming. And I find that very evil. And
it's power tripping too. Like finally they have something, and I can force my power on somebody else. It's absolutely disgusting. I haven't been in a grocery store since March because it is sad. I hate the grocery store anyway, but I mean, now I'm like, shit, I wish I could go back to the grocery store. I am exempt. I have seizures and I'm an asthmatic. So the last thing I want to do is cut off oxygen to my brain.
Yeah, exactly.
But
you feel it, right? Like you don't want to go because you don't want to deal with it.
I don't want, because I know if someone says one thing to me, Jeff, I don't have the patience for it, and I'll lose my mind. And I'd be arrested every day. And I'm like, I just know, you know, like that's why I named, because my other channel I'm locked out of. So because you can't say certain things about certain presidents, and I guess they took my email from me, okay, that I've had for over a decade. But anyway, you know, to go into the store, like Chris will not wear a mask, but he has a certain look about him, maybe because he's former Marine. They don't even look at him. So I've been into like Home Depot with him because we're rehabbing a camper to get the hell out of here. And they don't even look at him. I'm like, seriously, if I did that, maybe because I'm small, every single person would come up to me. I know it.
Well, that's I say that too because like for me, I don't get that problem. Like I like do it, you know, because I look at people and it's like, yeah, okay, say something, right, please, right, because I'll bite your head off and I'll make a fool out of you, and I don't give a damn, right? I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. In fact, I'll feel good, but I'm a guy and I'm big enough to stand up for myself and look a bit intimidating, whereas women, you know, like JS and yourself and Rachel, you know, like you're in a different, you know, like you have to You know, like again, the
We're
Karen
women.
meme, the Karen meme that they've put out too as well. The Karens don't want to wear a mask, right? So you can get labeled as a Karen sort of thing, right?
I
Like
don't understand. Are the
instantly.
Karens the one that don't want to wear the masks, or are the Karens the ones that are snitching people
No,
out?
or whatever they want them to
Whatever
be.
they want. Exactly.
They just want to muzzle the largest demographic of the population, which is middle-aged women. That's
Right.
middle-aged white women is their target. So they make up the Karen meme, and then that and works because so many women are going to be like, I don't want to be called a Karen. I'm not going to stand up for myself anymore.
Mhm.
And it's very evil because everyone should stand up for themselves all the time. And if we were in that situation, none of this would be happening, right? We have to learn to stand up for ourselves. But I understand too at the same time that you have to, you know, you got your lives. You gotta get your food. You gotta feed your family. You gotta live. And so sometimes there are compromises that we all have to make on a daily basis in our lives to fit into our society. We can't always do what we want to do, sort of thing. But there's a point where it's not a matter of doing what you want to do. It's a matter of the government is muzzling society and forcing you to comply and stand in a dot and separate. And it's so evil. So, you know, we're at that point. And unfortunately, and I've shown this, many of the media, well, all the media has been promoting that behavior. Again, Karen is one of the ways that they've done it, but they've done it in many other ways where they've put out articles which I've shown in which they've encouraged people to go after people. Like, when should you get angry? When should you stand up? And they say things like, well, most of the time you should probably not say anything, but there's a point in time where you definitely should, you know. It's like,
And the problem that I see is too is online. I'll always read the comment section, and a lot of people will come in and basically bully and say, "Oh, I love how all these people have PhDs in science and medicine, and they all know what they're talking about," and the way that they shame people. But I have a family member that's a doctor, and you know, he doesn't agree with anything, and at the same time, he has to wear it. So, like, if he hears someone else complain, he'll take his down. But it sucks because, you know, it's like he had an incident at the store the other day where someone told him to put his mask up, and he's like, "Do not police me." And then she's like, "You need to step away." And he's like, "No, I'm not stepping away. Like, you have a problem, you can step back, right?"
Yeah, right. If you're so scared, you stay home. How about that?
And again, to like, for someone like me, like I'm a fighter, right? People, if you knew me in real life, you know, I'm not afraid of fighting. I I can, I don't mind at all. Like, if somebody says something to me, like I'll go out of my way to make an example of the person. It doesn't stress me out too much. But when you think about it and say, like, from a woman's perspective, and you think about it, that all these people, all these incidents are happening. None of them should happen. Like I'm saying, the conflicts and the just like what happened with JS was saying with the doctor friend of hers, that, is put in a situation that should never happen. Like, there should be no conflict between these people. In fact, most people, if all of this crap wasn't happening, would be civil and polite and even friendly to each other on a regular basis.
And I wanted to tell him, like, tell her that, basically shut the, right? Because, I'm a medical doctor and I'm not on board. But at the same time, people like that are in the position to say anything almost can't say anything because, just
they'll
like
be fired.
Yeah,
They
so it's
could
really
lose their
tough.
job because he could come out and say something. Then he could be identified because they use the horde on Twitter, right? Look at this guy. He claims he's a doctor. BLM and Antifa would find him in a heartbeat, and then they
And
find
even my parents, they own a restaurant too, and they're in an old school mall that doesn't, like, they don't have facial recognition, but they have the panes of plexiglass, and they don't wear their masks behind there. Obviously, it's really hot, and they're working in a kitchen, but they had someone report them because my mom stepped off to the side where there was no plexiglass, and she was talking to a customer, and so she got reported for that. And then there was another guy that was in the mall. I guess he was taking photos of people not wearing a mask. So
wow,
it's getting
Power
intense.
tripping.
Absolutely.
My daughter is a teacher. That's what she went to school for. She's a teacher. And she went back to teaching, and they force tested her Within 2 days, she became so sick. I've known her for 25 years. I've
Oh,
never
boy.
seen this child this sick. I was like, oh my gosh.
From the
And
test.
yes, and listen, interestingly enough, her boyfriend 2 months before, same thing, forced test, was sick within 2 days. So then she goes back. They said she was negative, right, on the test. Then they're like, well, we're going to start testing every week. She had to quit her job. She's like, I'm not doing this every week. I didn't want to do it the first time. So she's back working in a restaurant. So
On the thing, how is it that they have to go all the way up the nose and then all of a sudden
if you can't
there's
sing,
you can see the
that
video.
you have to stay 6 feet apart. Like, how does that work? If this
Brain
thing is so
biopsy.
contagious, you should literally be able to breathe on the test and have a
Exactly.
result. So
I shared a video somebody had sent to me on Twitter, and it was a guy, and it was agonizing. They were shoving it up his nose, and he was so it was just awful. They call it the brain tickler, right? And it's like, how evil is that? Like, what are you doing to somebody? You're jabbing their brain. Like, that's
well,
literally
they said
what
that here, Jeff. I don't know what he was, part of the military or something, got up with Trump and presenting a new test. But they're like, we're no longer going to do the deep scan brain biopsy. Because my daughter said that too. She called me up crying. This kid's pretty tough. She's wide awake. She was raised with me, so she knows everything that goes on around her is bullcrap, right?
Yeah.
So when she got there, she called me up, bawling her eyes out. And she was like, Mom, that hurt so bad, and I swear to God to you, they touched my brain.
That's so. I showed it when the CNN reporter had it done. This is way back when it was all starting. I think it was in North Korea. So I had like a CNN reporter, and he's like, that's awful. That's yeah. And I was like, oh boy, yeah, okay. What can't you wait? Like, isn't this awesome? You're gonna get this brain tickler test, and then imagine the people that got to be subjected to it over and over again. And I talked a long time ago, way back in 2014 during the Ebola saga, about all the psychology where they hold the thermometer gun up to your head and how it is a form of government tyranny, like that it's symbolic of a gun to the head type of thing where you have to comply. Like, people don't think about how all of a sudden all your rights
we had
are
that done
gone.
today at Chuck E. Cheese. Like,
what's that?
really, we had it done today at Chuck E. Cheese. I call Chuck E. Cheese the casino for little kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went there yesterday or today, sorry. And it's humiliating. And not even just that, but like, again, what if
you're giving up your
menopausal and you're having hot sweats? Like,
think about this. I talked about the drones too, because they're like, Australia's got these new drones that can detect, and then they were saying with Toronto installing these portals that you would walk through, and they would be able to determine what you had for dinner last night, whether you've had some alcohol or drugs in your system and all this stuff. And it's like, oh wow, isn't that great? Look at all these bonuses you get. But then when I talk about it, it's like I talked about way back long before all this happened, maybe 2-3 years ago, where I was talking about surveillance cameras and the whole surveillance grids that they're laying out in the cities. And it was showing this video from Hawaii that was showing how sophisticated their surveillance tech is, that they can track anyone, even if they change their face, kind of thing, through an entire city. And they were showing how they can get into any camera, any sort of whether hotel lobby camera or street cam or whatever, right? And they were selling this technology to businesses and governments, by and large, right? And saying this is the new normal, or this is the new tech that we have. And I was saying, like, that part of the tech that they were developing to go in conjunction with this surveillance grid was that they could detect body language. Like if somebody was nervous, and I gave the example, I said, what if you're a guy and you're going on a blind date, like I say, maybe you're colored, right? You're darker skinned or whatever. You're going on or not even, you don't have to be, right? But you could be going on a blind date and you're meeting a girl at a public square or a park or something, and you're standing around, maybe she's late for some reason. All of a sudden these cameras pick you up. He looks nervous. He looks, his body temperature is elevated because, you're a little bit nervous and you're maybe perspiring and stuff like that. Next thing you know, whoop, 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 you're flagged, you're brought in. This is the type of future that we all face, where
this is where the whole all lives matter essentially matters, because it's not really about race at that point. It's like, we're all in the same boat of getting screwed over by the government. We gotta stand up to it if it ever came down.
Well,
to
it's full
And
on.
I even noticed
tyranny.
like in our area over the last how many years, like you've talked about on your show, but you know, the police used to be dressed in blue and you know, a white and blue car. Now it's all black and they're all dressed in black. And how is that not intimidating, right? Like how many times do you have a police officer behind you and they're right on your ass, right? And you're just like, how nerve-wracking is that? So obviously when there's all these checkpoints, like even going into the airport and trying to catch a flight, right? You're just so nervous for you know, even if you're not guilty, I have that personality where I'm like just jittery, or you know, you just have this guilty conscience for no reason.
Maybe you didn't get a good sleep. You know, maybe you just had, you know, you're nervous about whatever's been going on. You're worried about things, apprehensive, and you've got a slightly elevated body temperature, right? And they detect that, and then all of a sudden you're taken aside. The future of this, the way it's all rolling out, is so incredibly evil, and it's so disturbing to see this all. This is all what we feared for so long, that this type of surveillance grid would be laid out. And it's only one element of it, right? I mean, you can, if you eliminate the vaccines and the transhumanism and everything else, the nanotech and everything else that they want to do, if you just focus on the surveillance alone, it's terrifying, right? The destruction of privacy, the full on everything, watching through your walls, everything that they're going to be able to do, or that they're already able to do. And this whole scenario is the dream scenario for this type of surveillance to be implemented, and it's happening so rapidly that it's going to forever alter the way that we live and interact, and they want us to, this is why they do Facebook and all these things. They want us to be comfortable being watched. They push the narrative, or the, you know, the old sort of phrase, well, if you got nothing to hide, then, you know, what are you worried about, kind
everybody
of thing.
Everybody has secrets. Everybody has,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, give me a break.
It's fundamental. Privacy is a right that everyone should have.
Yeah. The
totally.
privacy is, and that's another thing. It's important because these advocacy groups are not, you know, you wonder who's running them and all that. Why aren't they, you know, making a bigger deal? Why aren't they standing up more? Why don't they have any power to stop what's happening? Why are they complying? You know, these are all really important questions, and I don't have the wherewithal to dig into all of that. You know, there's just too much going on. But I ask so many serious questions about the different levels of watchdogs that are supposedly existing to protect our rights, when I just see them being ripped away like never before. I mean, what's the point of having a Bill of Rights and a Constitution if they can just, again, oh, sorry, you know, because like, what'll it be next time? Oh, bioterror attack. Oh, sorry, you got no rights now. You know, again, here in Canada, the stuff that they've done, like for instance, the you know, the lockdowns, the checkpoints, and also the bubbles, like the maritime provinces, for instance, created a bubble, so you can't even go in there. And it's like, it's clear violation against Canadian Constitution. All Canadians are allowed to go anywhere in the country anytime they want, kind of thing, and they can live and work wherever they want. Well, no, you're not allowed to, because guess what? If you try to come into, say, Nova Scotia, for instance, you're going to have to be forced quarantine for 2 weeks, you know, before you can go out into public. So that basically destroys anybody from being able to enter those places. So everything that
even
they've
the
done,
ludicrousy of it, like you can go travel somewhere, you can go to Mexico and it's all good, and then you can come back and you have to quarantine. Why don't you quarantine when you get there? Like,
exactly. That makes no sense. It's the rules are for fools. It's if anybody were to properly scrutinize everything that's being done and show the unbelievable, which is, again, I do this, and I know a lot of people do, but the hypocrisy of what they're doing, and just as JS mentioned, I mean, it's like you can go, like you get on a plane, go to Mexico, but then you come back and you're treated like you're a leper. And it's like, well, wait a second. Yeah, I didn't get quarantined in Mexico. Why am I being quarantined by my own government? And I showed this way back when it started in February, where the Canadian health minister was threatening like to lock people up. It was unbelievable. It was like, what? This is our health minister? She's saying she's going to lock people up. It's like, where did you get that power? Like, when all of a sudden did you become a tyrant? You know, like, aren't you supposed to serve us? Shouldn't you be concerned about your own job and that the fact that you might be stomping on everyone's rights? It's so evil what's going on. It really.
They are serving us though because they care about our health, of course.
Unbelievable. Anyways, guys, I do have to close up. I went an extra almost hour over what actually I said I was going to go to about 10:30, so I've gone over an hour. But I wanted to make sure that everybody got a chance to come on, and I really, every time I do this, I absolutely love it. This was great. You guys were amazing. It was great to see some of the new people here, like JS and Rachel that haven't been on before, and all the other folks. Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
I want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I don't allow people to point that thermometer at my head. I'll hold my wrist out and tell them to take it from my wrist instead. And I try to let other people see me doing it so they get that bright idea too. And does anybody remember when in February and March when they were saying the N95 mask was the only one that would even be anywhere close to effective for protecting people?
Right. I want to say something about that whole temperature taking. When they first started opening up here in the U.S., I think it was the Apple store, of course, was one of the first ones to open, and it showed this like 17-year-old child taking like old people's temperature, like, well, me, like I'm 47, I'll be 48, I'm old compared to him. So I made a video and I'm like, let me tell you, if I walk into a store and some little sniveling 17-year-old is going to take my temperature, I will lose my mind.
Yeah.
But anyway, I love you, Jeff, so I'm going to jump off, but it was nice talking to you. I missed you. And,
thank
you. Yeah, I do more of
Alright.
these shows, Jeff.
Thank you for what you do.
Oh, thank you. You guys, I got to thank you. I mean, I thank you and all the patrons because I wouldn't be here without you. I mean, your support is so amazing, and I really am blessed. And I'm so, I mean, it's so awesome to be able to host a show like this, and everybody that comes on is so cool and full of great, ideas and discussion. And yeah, I'm just really blessed. So.
Well, you're blazing the trail.
Thank you so much. And shout out
who's not a member on Patreon, who's on YouTube listening to this, should definitely sign up and give a couple bucks.
Thank you.
It's well worth it.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I will be doing a lot more content. I've been very busy, but I've got so much more to come, and I try to do at least 3 live shows a week. So, anyways, you guys are amazing. Much love, and great. Thank you to everybody on the chat. Wonderful people in the chat as well, and I really look forward to the next one.
Much love from down under.
Oh, thank you so much. Anyways, all the best, guys, and
take care.
We'll see you all real soon, and yeah, keep on posting, and Jess is always in the community tab posting amazing links and information.
Thanks.
So really
so
appreciate that. Phoenix Cat and everyone else that's taking part. Thank you all so much. All right, guys.
Maybe we'll see each other next time in the concentration camps.
No.
I'll get the stash of cigarettes going. All right, guys. All the best. Take care.
See you later.